Chapter 3388. When President Song heard Su Yun's words, his expression relaxed a little. Actually, the Koreans' prejudice against Hua Xia isn't just because of our president or the media. There's another reason that I don't know if I should say. Go ahead, Su Yun said. There's another reason. It's because of Hua Xia itself. When President Song said this, he could really be described as being careful. As someone who had the ability to think, Su Yun understood that the Koreans' negative impression of Hua Xia and Hua Xia people might be misunderstood or even deliberately distorted, but it wasn't always groundless. For example, Hua Xia's food safety problems, environmental pollution problems, and the quality of its citizens. These were all problems that couldn't be avoided even if they didn't admit it. Hua Xia's tour guides need to improve their quality. Otherwise, people from other countries won't have a good impression of Hua Xia after traveling to Hua Xia. President Song said, for the convenience of management, Hua Xia's tour guides like to repeatedly emphasize one thing to Korean tourists and all foreign tourists: don't wander around. This is because Hua Xia's social security is very chaotic. It's easy to get stolen, robbed, and robbed if you wander around. When Su Yun heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. President Song was right. Many foreigners' first impression of Hua Xia had been misled by these unprofessional tour guides. Just for the convenience of management, they slandered the security and quality of their own country's citizens. They really should have their licenses revoked. Hua Xia's security was much better than many other countries. There were probably more shootings in a day in the United States than in a year in Hua Xia, right? Why don't you try firing a gun in Hua Xia? You can be beaten to death if you're caught. Also, Hua Xia's tour guides like to rip off their customers. I don't know about other countries' customers, but I know about my company's employees, President Song said. Just as you said, I also admire Hua Xia's culture, so I arrange for my company's outstanding employees to travel to Hua Xia every year. In the end, when they return, they will say that they were cheated by the tour guides and were ripped off. Forcing people to buy things and cheating people seems to be a necessary skill for Hua Xia's tour guides. Su Yun was embarrassed. He couldn't get angry at all. Zhuo Meiyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She thought to herself, you brought this trouble upon yourself. Hua Xia's too many ways to slander you. And Hua Xia's black-hearted merchants. President Song said, Hua Xia's merchants and products. Well, I admit it. Even I doubt those bastards. Su Yunjin felt a little embarrassed. In the beginning, Koreans were very superstitious about Hua Xia's Chinese herbs, including me. When I don't feel well, I like to use Chinese herbs to regulate my body. President Song said, so many Hua Xia people smelled a business opportunity. But slowly, in order to reap huge profits, some merchants tampered with the medicine. This matter was really a disgrace to all of Hua Xia. Su Yun couldn't help but curse in his heart. Those black-hearted bastards. It wasn't enough for them to embarrass themselves in China, but now they're even throwing them overseas. The fact that the medicinal products didn't meet the standards was enough to make Hua Xia's people bitterly disappointed. Now, it even caused rumors in other countries. It was really ******** up. When Koreans discovered that there were problems with the quality of the Chinese herbs, they began to say that Hua Xia people were bad. After all, this is something that can be ingested to treat illnesses, not other products. President Song was quite sincere when he said this. Similarly, there are also poisonous crabs and other food safety incidents. Some Hua Xia merchants put lead in crab shells and sold them to Korea. Su Yun fell silent. This matter is indeed Hua Xia's fault, but only this black-hearted person would do this kind of shady business. Zhuo Meiyan said calmly, back then, Korea made a big deal out of this matter. It was also because your government wanted to protect your own agricultural products and fish products. Indeed, it was at that time that our media intentionally spread the news that Hua Xia's products were fake and that domestic products were the best. President Song said, this was an opportunity you gave us. So we especially don't want Hua Xia to become stronger. Su Yun spoke again. Speaking of which, I want to tell you Koreans that any country in the world doesn't want Hwa-sia to become stronger, but Korea can't. President Song was stunned. I believe President Song should be someone who knows the history, right? Soo-yoon said, you should know very well whether Hwa-sia and Korea have an aggressive relationship, right? President Song nodded. Of course, it didn't exist. Even in ancient times, in the Tang dynasty and the Ming dynasty, Hwa-sia has bled for Korea. We didn't invade you. You willingly submitted to Hwa-sia because Hwa-sia can protect you. Soo-yoon said. President Song lowered his head. This was also the truth. When the Central Plains dynasties in Hwa-sia's history weakened, what was the situation in your country? The Great Ming dynasty weakened and didn't have the ability to take care of Korea. In the end, you were invaded by the Jin. The Qing dynasty was too corrupt and didn't have the ability to take care of Korea. In the end, you were invaded by the Japanese, and all of them died. When Soo-yoon said this, he was really angry. Why don't you Koreans grow some brains? Do you really think that your lives will be good just because Hwa-sia is weak? President Song opened his mouth wide in shock. After being hit by Soo-yoon like this, he really did have a bit of an epiphany. Hwa-sia had always been a friendly neighbor. When they were in trouble, they would lend a helping hand. To be honest, Korea was a small country. They didn't have land, technology, or resources. Hwa-sia didn't have any purpose in helping them. It was just because they were neighbors that they supported each other. It was a very simple idea. After so many years, without Hwa-sia's help, what would Korea be like? Who would dare to imagine? If Hwa-sia wasn't strong and Hwa-sia was nothing under the feet of the strong, what would Korea be in the eyes of those people? Just like now, who would care about Korea in the American Empire and Japan? If Hwa-sia supported Korea, not to mention the American Empire, would the Japanese dare to fart? If the people in power in Korea hadn't ruined the relationship between our two countries, and if Hwa-sia supported Korea, Korea wouldn't have had to suffer the humiliation of 1 billion yen from the Japanese. Soo-yoon said, but it's only 60 million renminbi. If you lack money, China can give you tens of billions without a problem. Furthermore, it's not the worthless Japanese yen. We can even afford it in US dollars. President Song took a deep breath. I believe in Hwa-sia's strength. Let me put it bluntly. Whether Korea exists or not isn't important to Hwa-sia. In other words, Korea is dispensable to Hwa-sia. Hwa-sia doesn't care what the Koreans think of Hwa-sia. The size of the economy is different, and the economic relationship isn't so important that it's irreplaceable. Soo-yoon, the type and scale of Hwa-sia's industry is something that Korea can never hope to match. Therefore, there will be a large number of cheap daily necessities and high-tech aerospace, deep-sea exploration, and military-industrial technology that Korea has yet to master. President Song was shocked. Soo-yoon's words made him fall silent. Also, the gap between the rich and poor in Hwa-sia is because of the large population. Just based on the number of middle-class people or the number of tycoons, Korea might not even be able to compare to Jujong Province or Jiangsu Province. Don't try to prove how rich the Koreans are. In terms of social wealth, Korea isn't even a fraction of Hwa-sia. Soo-yoon smiled. There's a saying in Hwa-sia, the ignorant are fearless. I think too many Koreans are fearless. Although President Song was directly called ignorant, he accepted it. This was because even a person of his status did not completely understand himself. Therefore, most Koreans could be described as ignorant. Of course, this ignorance was precisely propagated by their country's media. Because their media was too ignorant, the entire country was in a state of ignorance. It was really pitiful, sad, and lamentable. Forget it, I don't have much of an appetite. Soo-yoon stood up. I won't eat. President Song, if you have something to discuss, you can talk to President Swa. I want to go out for a walk. This? President Song was stunned and glanced at Zwamei-yen. Zwamei-yen nodded at Soo-yoon. Okay, go. Go wherever you want. I believe President Song will get the driver to accompany you. Right. President Song? Yes. President Song nodded repeatedly. Chapter 3389. Soo-yoon had no intention of being courteous with Chairman Song. He left the scene immediately. Based on the current situation, it was hard to say what Chairman Song's intentions and attitude were. Soo-yoon couldn't be bothered to ask him about it. Moreover, his purpose for coming here was very direct. He wanted to make it clear to the Koreans that they shouldn't count on entertainment companies to continue earning money in Hwaseong. Soo-yoon didn't want to waste his breath. Zwa Mei-yen had always been very experienced in dealing with such matters, so she didn't mind. After all, she had been to Korea many times, and she was especially familiar with the Gangnam district. It was really a small corner of less than 30 square kilometers. Hwaseong's Jiangxi Agricultural University occupied 110,000 square kilometers. Director Zwa, I feel that Director Soo is prejudiced against Korea. I hope that we can put aside our prejudices and talk about cooperation, Chairman Song said with a smile. Zwa Mei-yen shook her head. Director Soo is from Hwaseong, and so am I. We are both descendants of the Yellow Dragon. Why is it that he has prejudices against you, but I don't? Don't you know the reason? Of course I know. Chairman Song shook his head helplessly, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. It's all because of our female president. I can't solve this matter. If I could make her step down, I wouldn't hesitate to do so. A woman who has scandals in her private life is really a disgrace to us Koreans. Zwa Mei-yen only smiled and didn't reply. Chairman Song's face was full of worry. In our Korean entertainment industry, there's a saying that when something happens in the country's politics or economy, we need to use scandals of celebrities to cover it up. Or maybe it's not scandals, but other things. In short, it's good to use entertainment news that can cover it up. This isn't just a method used by Korea. I'm afraid the whole world uses it, Zwa Mei-yen said. It's not like our Hwaseong hasn't done this before. But no country has ever had an incident because of their political stance, Chairman Song said helplessly. Because of the sinking of a ship in our country some time ago, many celebrities expressed different political stances. Tens of thousands of celebrities were secretly banned by President Park because of this. Many of my company's celebrities were banned. Is it because he supported the families of the victims? Zwa Mei-yen had heard of this before. This was a Korean shipwreck incident. The results were also investigated. It was said that the ship was modified, overloaded, and the helmsman was not skilled in operating it. Almost 300 people had died all of a sudden, including 4 Hwaseong people. Therefore, it was impossible for Zwa Mei-yen not to know about this. Because of this incident, the victims' families requested for a special law to be enacted for this matter. Many celebrities supported this, but these people who supported this law were banned by President Park. That's right. Because of this, many people have been banned. Chairman Song shook his head helplessly. I didn't expect your female president to be so powerful. She's trying to play the game of covering the sky with one hand in Korea. Zwa Mei-yen said, a president actually has the time to meddle in the affairs of the entertainment industry. What a joke. I wouldn't dare to say such things, President Song said awkwardly. Zwa Mei-yen waved her hand disdainfully. I'm not a Korean. What can she do about what I say? In a country that claims to be democratic, artists will be banned just because they express their views. That's really awesome. President Song said this to Zwa Mei-yen out of helplessness. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such things. After all, there were so many people banning him in the country. If he also stopped Hwaseong, Soo-yoon would ban him from the Hwaseong circle. Then, his company might not be able to hold on. President Zwa, that's why I hope Sky Entertainment Group can help me during my most difficult time. President Song nodded. However, Zwa Mei-yen had no intention of talking about this. She continued, I've realized that I'm getting more and more interested in your female president. I remember that you Koreans call her a legendary woman. She's still single and is called the Ice Princess or something like that. It seems that her family is quite fond of her. Her mother was killed, and her younger sister even found 2 brothers-in-law for her. The new brothers-in-law spoke too much about her private matters, and she sentenced him to slander. Her younger brother is also a drug addict. President Song lowered his head awkwardly. She's a powerful woman who broke the rule of Korean men. She calls herself Korean Thatcher, right? Zhua Meiyan said. President Song had no choice but to nod. However, I heard that many Koreans call her the dictator's daughter, or the inheritor of political legacy, behind her back. That's quite ironic. Zhua Meiyan shook her head. She didn't seem to like this woman who had used some unknown method to ride a Korean man. President Song still had to say something good for his president. She's not open and doesn't communicate with anyone. She's not passionate or cold. She's just cold and has always been like this. She keeps a distance from everyone. That's her trademark. She's very amiable and calm. She's very objective and uses a mechanical method to analyze things. Zhua Meiyan smiled bitterly. Right, I heard that she's an old leftover woman. A golden leftover fighter. President Park doesn't believe in love. She thinks that no one dares to say that a person who was once gentle and amiable won't become someone who knows what's at stake. President Song tried his best to protect his country's president's dignity. After all, she was their president. It was too humiliating for her to be stepped on by Zhua Meiyan. Their country's dignity was gone. It was a pity that their disappointing female president had done so many disappointing things. Zhua Meiyan's casual words were all sarcastic. She doesn't believe in love? Is it because of her promiscuous private life that was exposed? Zhua Meiyan said. If it wasn't for that news, I would have thought that she was a real Picasso. President Song really wanted to find a hole to hide in. She was very flirtatious when she was young. Haha, it's not strange. Otherwise, how could she serve the little ponies of the American Empire so happily? Zhua Meiyan said. President Song sighed. He seemed to be expressing his other worries. Hua Xia was furious because that woman with the surname Park agreed to let the THAAD system enter Korea. This caused Korea to suffer huge losses. Korea's exports to Hua Xia dropped by 10%. The entertainment company's market value instantly evaporated by more than $1 trillion. The tourism industry also suffered a harsh winter. If Hua Xia didn't come, who else would come to Korea to play? This set of interlocking economic fists intensified the political, public opinion, and social divisions in Korea. Korea's tourism industry was completely dependent on the amount of money that Hua Xia tourists spent in Korea. Speaking of which, in order to curry favor with old Ma, Park didn't hesitate to stretch her face out. And the result? The American Empire's Ministry of Commerce announced that they would impose 61% anti-dumping and countervailing duties on Korea's steel products. That wasn't all. Following that, the American Empire announced that they would impose 110% and 49% tariffs on Korea's Samsung and Korea's chicken washing machines. The American Empire also took the opportunity to launch an anti-dumping investigation on Korea's imported plasticizer, dioctyl terephthalate. On the surface, the American Empire seemed to have given Korea a lot of money and benefits in order to rope her in as their maid. They even got that dog from Japan to give Korea some money. However, their mentality was completely equivalent to a simple prostitute. But in reality, when the snipe and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. It had nothing to do with Korea. Korea couldn't be a fisherman. At most, she would be an ant watching the battle on the beach. At this moment, this woman was probably regretting it. It didn't matter if she slept with Little Ma for nothing. After all, he was living well. However, if she lost her domestic support, she would be useless. If she lost her power, Little Ma probably wouldn't even get close to her bed. After all, she was already an old woman. It wasn't like she was still attractive. She was completely withered. If something happened in bed, Little Ma wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. After all, Little Ma was big. He would definitely be worried that this old woman couldn't take it. If something really happened, it would become international news. This was something that Little Ma didn't want to see. Chairman Song shook his head helplessly. She probably didn't expect that he would stab her in the back. Now, she's in a dilemma. She doesn't know what to do. Chapter 3390. At this moment, Zhuo Meiyan understood Chairman Song's feelings very well. The whole world knew very well how Korea earned its money. There were three aspects: entertainment, tourism, and electronics. Which of these three aspects didn't rely heavily on Huaxia? Without Huaxia's die-hard fans, how could their entertainment artists earn so much money to buy so many sports cars? Without Huaxia's people improving their quality of life, how could their tourism economy flourish when tens of thousands of people could fly to Korea for a few days? Without the support of Huaxia's imported Android fans for Samsung, their electronics economy would have decreased by at least 50%, right? Therefore, Huaxia's support was indispensable for Korea's three major industries. Who would travel if they didn't build relations between the two countries? Were they so free? Bringing 10,000 yuan to Korea for a few barbecue meals would be gone. They might as well fly to Southeast Asia, where all kinds of seafood were cheap. Celebrities who became popular only wanted to earn money, and earn more money. They directly treated Huaxia as an ATM machine. They were all the same. As for Samsung, they were courting death. They even dared to sell an explosive product. After selling it to Huaxia, they didn't recall it immediately. It was as if the lives of Huaxia people were more worthless than the lives of people in other countries. What was the meaning of this? If someone said that Samsung had exploded and would still choose to use it in the future, they might be called die-hard fans. But now that everyone knew that after the explosion, Samsung immediately recalled the products sold overseas and didn't recall the products sold domestically in time, it was obvious that they didn't care about the safety of Huaxia people. Those who would still choose to use explosive phones in the future were really die-hard fans. Zhuo Meiyan definitely wouldn't use Samsung. It wasn't that she was criticizing this product, but that she felt that the company of this product didn't treat Huaxia people as human beings. As Huaxia people, why would they still use it? Was there no other choice in this world? There were many. No matter what brand it was, whether it was a big brand or a small brand, as long as a company didn't care about the safety of consumers, their products were not worth consumers buying again. It was the same reason why more and more people were criticizing Volkswagen. Once upon a time, Volkswagen had to raise the price by 20 to 30,000 to get a new car. The divine car Tiguan was an example. If the consumers were taken seriously, they would naturally raise the price enthusiastically. After all, every Huaxia citizen had a good impression of the old Santana and the old Volkswagen Jetta as durable, sturdy, and cheap to maintain. But now, why did Volkswagen follow suit and lower their prices by tens of thousands? The most common one was burning the engine oil. Coupled with the inexplicable failure of the headlights, the rusting of the car body, the failure of the steering pressure shaft, and the abnormal noise of the chassis, this was irresponsible. Of course, this black mark was mainly on Huaxia's factories. Ruan Qingshuang's younger brother was a Volkswagen fan. Ruan Qingshuang gave him a Tiguan. Of course, he also drove 100,000 kilometers without entering a car repair shop. However, this kid's luck was too bad. The steering pressure bearing broke at 5,000 kilometers. The front passenger door couldn't be opened at 8,000 kilometers. The water pump leaked at 10,000 kilometers. The chassis made an abnormal noise at 13,000 kilometers. The engine's VVI solenoid valve leaked oil at 15,000 kilometers. Almost all kinds of problems were encountered by this unlucky kid. How could he not be a fan and become an anti-fan? Fortunately, Volkswagen's car preservation rate was not bad. Even if it was a car full of problems, it could be sold for a good price in the second-hand car market. Some of the things that Korea has done recently have been too much. It has seriously hurt the relationship between the people of the two countries. Zhuo Meiyan said, "I believe that President Song should have sent people to do market research. In this year, the people of Huaxia's attention to Korea's entertainment culture has plummeted. In a short period of time, it has dropped by more than 30%. This was actually similar to the concept of products. Some of Korea's actions had seriously hurt the relationship between the two countries. Therefore, it was very normal for the people of Hwaseong to pay less attention to them. That's why I want to ask President Zwa to help us make up for it, President Song said sincerely. Zwa Meiyen waved her hand. I'm afraid I can't do that. There's an idiom in Hwaseong that says one only has oneself to blame. It's our president's fault. This has nothing to do with us. We were only unlucky because of her system. President Song shook his head helplessly. Hwaseong shopping malls, such as Myeongdong and other shopping malls, have obviously lost a lot of tourists from Hwaseong. Sigh, Korea's economy has fallen into a serious crisis. Zwa Meiyen nodded. I've heard about this too. Actually, President Park is about to be crushed by all these things. President Song said, I saw the news. She expressed that she was willing to maintain close communication with Hwaseong regarding this issue. Zwa Meiyen smiled when she heard this. Our President Park wants to reconcile. President Song was anxious. It's true. I believe she will reconcile. So, let's not stop the entertainment cooperation between our two countries, right? Let's continue and find a way to reconcile. President Song. Zwa Meiyen's face turned serious. Do you really think that the relationship between our two countries is something that your President Park can do as she pleases? President Song's face darkened again. Who does she think she is? Does she really think she's a princess? Zwa Meiyen snorted. Even if she's a princess, she's still a princess in distress from Korea. Why must we give her face? As a woman, taking the initiative to reconcile is already giving up all her status. President Song still spoke up for his president. No. Zwa Meiyen shook her finger. She expressed her intention to reconcile, but who can't see the hidden meaning in her words? She's warning Hwaseong not to overdo it and not to continue pressuring her. If she continues pressuring her, she will lead Korea to the United States and become a part of the military triangle of the United States, Japan, and Korea. Zwa Meiyen didn't understand the deeper meaning. However, Zwa Meiyen could see these superficial signs very clearly. President Song was also in an awkward situation. He thought to himself, if I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought up such a political issue. Korea is showing weakness now. President Zwa, if you can build a new cooperation bridge between our two countries in the entertainment industry, I believe the relationship between our two countries can be mended. President Song made a final struggle and pleaded. I'm not that capable. We need to control the situation between our two countries and stop the damage. This requires both sides to face each other, right? Zwa Meiyen said. President Song nodded. Yes. However, Hwaseong's response to the THAAD system issue was completely reasonable. It was your president who was stubborn and didn't care about the overall situation in Northeast Asia. He insisted on going on the wrong path and leading the wolf into the house, resulting in the current situation. Zwa Meiyen said, I'm afraid this isn't something you can fix just because you say so. But entertainment has no borders, President Song said. Entertainment does have no borders, but unfortunately, entertainment artists have nationalities. Zwa Meiyen shook her head. All this time, no Hwaseong artist cared about Korea's entertainment market because it's too small. It's not like you don't know this. Even if Hwaseong and Hwaseong trainees choose to be in Korea, they will eventually set their sights on the Hwaseong market. This was also the reason why President Song guaranteed that the company's debuts every year would have Hwaseong faces. Because this would attract more attention from Hwaseong. Even if they didn't have Hwaseong nationality, as long as they had Hwaseong blood and could speak Chinese, they would be able to make great contributions to their entertainment company. This was a necessity for an entertainment market economy. Korean artists were clear on one thing. As long as they captured the Hwaseong market, even if they were third-rate artists, the money they earned would be much more than what they earned in China. If they couldn't capture the Hwaseong market, even if they were first-rate artists in China and had a lot of attention, the money they earned would be far less than third-rate artists. The reason why the president of a Korean entertainment giant was so earnest in talking to Zwa Meiyen was because he couldn't bear to give up such a huge market like Hwaseong. After all, Korea Entertainment's idols were more in line with Asians' appreciation. Whether they could make a living in Europe or America often didn't depend on their looks. In Europe and the United States, there were many rappers like Grandpa Ken who looked very ordinary and looked very sloppy. As long as they were good at rapping, they could also become famous and sleep with the Kardashian family's money. Korea Entertainment didn't want to be half dead, so they had to rely on the Hwaseong market. Otherwise, they would definitely not be able to develop. Korea's economy was already in such a bad state, and the unemployment rate was so high. Who could the entertainment industry earn money from? Chapter 3391. After Soo-yoon left the Korean snack bar, he got into President Song's car and asked the driver to take him around. The Korean driver, who had never been out of the country, had a confident look on his face. He drove Soo-yoon on the busiest street in Korea's Jongnan district with an inexplicable sense of pride. His body language seemed to be saying, "See, this is our Korea. Isn't it very prosperous? Isn't it awesome? Very gorgeous." However, Soo-yoon wasn't interested in this place. It felt like a county town. Not to mention the international metropolises like Hwaseong, any second-tier city could beat this place. No, saying that a second-tier city was overestimating this place. Even an ordinary prefecture-level city could beat the busiest place in Korea. Jongnan District, which had always been hyped up, really gave Soo-yoon a sense of Hwaseong's county town. It couldn't even be compared to the top 100 counties in Hwaseong. What surprised Soo-yoon even more was that in the capital of Korea, the slums and the wealthy were only separated by a road. It felt like heaven on one hand and hell on the other. He really didn't understand what right the Koreans had to laugh at the huge gap between the rich and poor in Hwaseong. Most of the residents in the slums were old people who lived alone. They lived in simple and crude huts that lacked electricity and heating equipment. They had to burn coal to stay warm in winter. This was completely different from what he imagined Korea to be. Soo-yoon was actually quite surprised. "Drive there and take a look," Soo-yoon said indifferently. The driver was stunned. "There's nothing to see there. Cars can't even enter." "Cars can't even enter?" Soo-yoon was stunned. "What is this place?" This is Jolong Village." The driver didn't seem to want to talk about the slums. This place was a huge mockery to the bustling Jongnan district. Its existence here affected the city's appearance. It must be known that when the fatty was dancing, he was in a luxurious skyscraper with dozens of floors. They all lived in Jongnan district, but not everyone could live like Jongnan. "You've never been here before, right?" Soo-yoon asked. The driver was embarrassed. "There are huge safety hazards in the gas tanks and various circuits. Who would go there for no reason?" Soo-yoon gestured for the driver to pull over. He carefully observed the situation of this slum. This was a true reflection of a country's economic ability. Some of the houses in the slums were actually covered with old plastic sheets. These poor houses were in sharp contrast to the skyscrapers not far away. This was not an exception. Almost all the houses were made of plywood, scrap metal, plastic sheets, and cardboard. Cars could not pass through the small roads. Even if two people walked across each other, they would have to lean their shoulders against each other. Nowadays, most of the villages in Hwaseong no longer had such small roads. They were only roads that could allow two cars to pass each other. "The people here shouldn't have much income, right? Isn't the government going to do something about it? How much is the subsidy?" Soo-yoon asked. The driver shook his head. "How are we going to compensate them? There are no subsidies. Look at the economy now. The country has no money." Soo-yoon thought for a long time before he thought of a slum that was even worse than this place. It was the slums of Brazil in South America. Apart from the lack of drugs, gangs, violence, and other factors that made one's hair stand on end, it was not much better. Of course, there was no danger in the slums in Korea, but it was not the same in Brazil. Ordinary people should not go to the slums alone. If they really wanted to go, they had to be led by the locals. Otherwise, the trip to the slums would become a nightmare. However, The advantage of the slums in Brazil was that they were better than the houses here. At least there were many brick houses. Although the houses were extremely close together, many of them had a sea view. Compared to the houses in Brazil, which were built in rows without any order and were so densely packed that it was suffocating, the slums in Korea did not seem to be so densely packed, and there were not many people living there. In some houses, only the elderly lived there, and the children had already moved out. Very few young people could stand the living environment in such a place. Although the street in front of Soo-yoon was considered clean, it was not neat. There was a mess of junk and garbage piled up. There were even some gas tanks thrown on the side of the street like obstacles. It was an eyesore. The air was densely filled with privately built wires, which made Soo-yoon feel very uncomfortable. This was indeed very dangerous. A small country of 100,000 kilometers with only a few tens of millions of people was actually managed like this? How dare they compare themselves with Hua-sia all day long? China was such a big country with a population of more than 1 billion people. For it to be able to maintain its current order and development, it could be said to be hundreds of times stronger than Korea. If Korea was really attached to Hua-sia like in ancient times, it would definitely be at the level of Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. How could it be compared to today? It was a different world just a street away. There was actually a slum in the heart of the capital. Boss Sue, there's nothing to see here. I'd better take you to O-Ting. That's a suitable place for you. The driver strongly recommended. Soo-yoon smiled. The shopping center sells high-end goods. It's said that tourists from Hua-sia especially like to shop there. Yes, that place is the fashion center. That place is in line with the national temperament of our Korea. The driver said seriously. What about this place? Is this the place that Goryeo abandoned? The stain of the city? Soo-yoon, if that's the case, then deal with it as soon as possible. Don't tell me you don't even have the money to deal with such a small slum? Hua-sia's demolition village is probably several times bigger than this place. Other than embarrassment, there was no other expression on the driver's face. He was in a hurry to leave, but Soo-yoon was still looking outside. Suddenly, a woman in a very old Korean dress appeared. The woman looked to be in her 50s. When she saw the car, she walked over in a panic. The driver in the car did not seem to notice this scene, but Soo-yoon was very curious. He wondered if Koreans also knew how to scam people. The woman really walked to the front of the car, which made Soo-yoon even more curious. He didn't expect the woman to come to him and bow to him. She carefully pointed to the driver's seat. "Sir, can I have a few words with him?" The moment the woman spoke, the driver in the driver's seat seemed to have been struck by lightning. He turned around abruptly and saw the woman outside the car. His expression changed. "Son." The woman's voice was very gentle, but it deeply agitated the suited driver. The driver flew into a rage. He opened the car door and walked out. He quickly walked towards the woman. "Why are you out? Hurry up and go back. This is our company's VIP. You can't disturb him." "Son, I haven't seen you for 2 months. I didn't expect to see you driving here. I don't mean to disturb this gentleman. I just want to talk to you." The woman's eyes were red. Her son's disdain made her feel a piercing pain in her heart. This really made her feel very uncomfortable. "It's working hours now. Can you understand me? I'm working. If I do something else during working hours and get fired, what will I eat in the future? Will you take care of me?" The attitude of a son was often so unbridled. This was perhaps a problem that every son would ignore. It seemed that every son would be unscrupulous towards their mother. It was because they had been endlessly tolerated and endlessly loved since they were young that led to such a situation. This situation did not only happen to unfilial people. It often happened to filial people. They would erupt completely unintentionally and say things that hurt their mother. This son was suddenly angry at this moment because his mother had embarrassed him in front of a Hua-sia boss. However, this mother did not know all of this. She really just wanted to see her son. She had no other thoughts. What she did not expect was that her unintentional act of eagerness would cause her son to complain like this. Anyone would feel uncomfortable if they were in her shoes. After all, this angry complaint came from her son. If it was someone else, her heart might not be so piercing at this moment. However, because it was her son, her pain would only be infinitely magnified. Chapter 3392. Soo-yoon opened the car door and got out. The young driver immediately panicked and hurriedly walked in front of Soo-yoon. He carefully lowered his head and explained, "I'm sorry, Seo-soo. I've embarrassed myself in front of you. I really did see a joke." Soo-yoon said unhappily, "In my impression, Korea is a country that pays attention to etiquette. This is a cultural tradition, just like the Hwa Sia. But I don't see any of the etiquette and filial piety that you Koreans have." The driver waved his hand and hurriedly explained, "CEO Soo, I really didn't want her to disturb you." "But she's your mother." Soo-yoon glared. The woman saw that Soo-yoon was angry and hurriedly bowed to apologize. I'm sorry, Mr. Soo. I really didn't mean to disturb you. If there's anything to blame, just blame me. This isn't his fault. Please don't make things difficult for him." Soo-yoon's heart was filled with mixed feelings. He felt very upset. "Auntie, how is this your fault? I don't mean to blame you. But I feel that it's not worth it for you to have such a son." The woman was stunned. The driver also lowered his head in shame. When Soo-yoon called his mother Auntie, he realized that he hadn't even called her Mom. Why couldn't he call her that? Or rather, how long had it been since he had called her Mom? He couldn't even remember. If it wasn't for Soo-yoon, he wouldn't even know that he hated his home and even hated his mother. It was because he had a mother who embarrassed him. He had a mother who lived in the slums. This young driver drove for Chairman Song at the entertainment company. His monthly income wasn't high at all. It wasn't even 10,000 yuan. And he actually wanted to use half of this money to rent a better house for himself. Why? Because if he lived in the slums, people would laugh at him. He didn't want to be looked down upon by others, so he would rather spend money to rent a better house. Because of this, he hadn't tasted beef for a long time. Not to mention beef, he only dared to eat chicken once or twice a month. Usually, he would buy a bowl of white rice and eat pickled cabbage. Every time he came home, it was because there was no more kimchi. Every time he came home, he would take away all the kimchi, pickled radishes, and so on. After deducting the rent and normal expenses from his salary, he could only squeeze out some money to buy clothes every 3 to 5 months. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the money to buy clothes. After working for 2.5 years, he had never brought home a single cent. After his military service, he drove for nearly 3 years. He was already 30 years old, but he had never given his mother a single cent. Not to mention buying a new dress for his mother, he didn't even buy a new pair of socks. Because he had no money at all, he felt that not asking his mother for money was already very good. In his opinion, in the current situation of unemployment in Korea, many people of his age still had to ask their parents for money. He felt that this was normal. This phenomenon didn't only exist in Korea, it seemed to exist in the East as well. Because the culture of the East seemed to have a deep influence on the family, whether it was the poorer rural areas or the more economically developed Hong Kong and Macau, such situations existed. Moreover, there were many people who relied on their families to eat and die. If they didn't have money, they would ask their families for money. If they didn't give it to them, they would make a fuss. Therefore, the driver had an illusion that he was doing very well. He didn't ask his mother for money, nor did he make a fuss for his mother. He just came home to take some kimchi. He didn't even know that sometimes, because he took away the kimchi, his mother would be reduced to eating white rice. Korean cabbage was also very expensive. Pickling kimchi also required ingredients, which were all money. This money might not be much in the eyes of many people, but this money was not a small amount in the eyes of a Korean woman. Even so, she had never complained to her son. She always felt that she had let her son down. Therefore, even now, the woman still wanted to speak up for her son, hoping that Soo-yoon would throw all the blame on her. My son has already done very well. I have let him down since he was young. The woman shook her head with a bitter smile. In her heart, she really felt that she had let her son down. Mr. Su, my husband died early. This child has suffered with me since he was young. I remember that when he was young, he wanted to eat a drumstick, but I couldn't satisfy him. I am a failure of a mother. The driver, who had his head lowered, suddenly reached out and pulled his mother. Stop talking. When his mother said this, he didn't even have any feelings. His voice even sounded disgusted and shameful. If you want to talk, then continue. Let's talk in the car. Su Yun said to the woman. Then, he pointed at the driver and said, Do you remember what your chairman's song said to you? The driver hurriedly nodded. I remember. I will listen to Chairman Su's orders and arrangements. Go over there and buy 2 cups of coffee for me and your mother. Su Yun saw a coffee shop on the other side of the road. The driver was stunned. Run over there. Su Yun glared at him. You know that your chairman's song is asking me for a favor. I can make you lose your job with 1 word, or I can give you a promotion and a raise. Without another word, the driver turned and ran. However, his mother was worried. She hurriedly begged Su Yun. I beg you, please don't make him lose his job. This child has been pitiful since he was young. He hasn't had a good day with me. Now that he finally has a life of his own, I can't harm him. Do you really think that you have let your son down? Su Yun frowned. Perhaps every parent would feel this way. Once their child was wronged, it was because they didn't do a good job. The responsibility was on their shoulders. No parent would feel that they did a good enough job. They would always feel that all the mistakes were on them. Yes, I have let him down. The woman nodded. Su Yun shook his head. Actually, it's not like that. You already had such a difficult life, but you still insisted on raising him. Every day that you raised him was a form of kindness. He should know what gratitude is. He should eat his fill. Crouching on ice for cop. In this world, even animals knew what filial piety was. Crows feeding back. Lambs kneeling before their breasts. If a person didn't know how to be grateful and filial, then they weren't fit to be called a person. The woman was stunned. She had never thought of asking for anything in return. Her only wish was for her son to have a good life. As long as her son had a good life, she didn't care about anything else. Even if she was just an old nanny who could come back and ask for kimchi, she was willing. She had no other wish. As long as her son was well. Her world was a sunny day. Even though her son hadn't called her mom for a long time, she still looked forward to the day when her son would call her that. No need. I don't need anything from him in return. The woman's voice lowered. I believe that there is no parent in this world who raises their children for anything in return. At least, that's what I think. To be honest, Su Yun was really a little touched at this moment. No matter which country, no matter what race, a mother's love was great. Well, you're right. Su Yun had no reason to refute. This woman was right. If there was a purpose in raising a child, then it was simply a joke. The effort to raise a child could only be repaid when they were old? Why not use the energy to raise a child on themselves when they were young? Let them enjoy it earlier while they were young. How many people only had a short life of their own? After having a child, they lived for the sake of the child. Everything was for the sake of the child. Mr. Su, I know that you are a big shot. I also know that I shouldn't disturb you, so I still want to beg you. Please don't make things difficult for him. The woman said, I will kneel down and apologize to you. There's really no need for that. I really didn't mean to make things difficult for him. Su Yun hurriedly said. A person who was older than him knelt down to him. That would shorten her lifespan. Don't misunderstand. I asked him to buy coffee because I wanted to talk to you alone. I think he did that because you spoiled him. Chapter 33-93. The woman hurriedly shook her head and waved her hands. We've always been poor. How can children from poor families be spoiled? Children from poor families all suffer and grow up with grievances. Spoiling is something that rich families do. Spoiling doesn't refer to material things, Su-yun said seriously. Spoiling refers to spiritual and educational things. Many rich children who are born with a silver spoon in their mouths have always received the best material life. They aren't spoiled and are very sensible. They know what gratitude is. The woman was stunned. This was a principle she had never heard before. Spoiling wasn't material, but spiritual? Perhaps you've always owed him material things, but you've always spoiled him spiritually, Su-yun said. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become like this today. He's very good. He's a very sensible child. The woman hurriedly put in a good word for her son. Very sensible. If it wasn't me who came today, but their chairman's Song, I believe he wouldn't continue to use him. Su-yun said bluntly, if he was my driver, I wouldn't hesitate to fire him. The woman's expression was obviously shocked. Why? The reason is very simple. Because he doesn't even care about the most basic filial piety. He definitely won't be loyal to his job, his position, his company, and his boss. Su-yun, you can understand such a simple principle, right? The woman shook her head. Then let me think about it and put it more bluntly and simply. Su-yun wasn't impatient. If it were the woman's son, he probably would have been impatient long ago, right? There were very few children who were impatient with their parents, so few that it was pitiful. Su-yun continued, you, as his mother, worked hard to raise him and brought him up to where he is today. He's not grateful to you. As a boss, I only give him a salary and don't take care of him. He definitely won't be grateful to me. Tell me, why should I, as a boss, use such an ungrateful employee? The woman nodded in realization. At this moment, she truly understood what Su-yun meant. That's why I said that if I had such an employee, I definitely wouldn't put him in an important position. Su-yun, people who don't even know how to write the word filial piety will definitely not be able to write the word loyal. Why should I let such a person work for me? The woman lowered her head in shame. She thought about how she had educated her son. Su-yun was right. She was a typical parent who spoiled her child spiritually. Her love for her son was unconditional. Although she would never satisfy him materially, she would always spoil him spiritually. Ever since he was young, she would never let her son suffer any grievances other than material things. She had always felt that her son had suffered a lot of material grievances, so he couldn't suffer any more grievances in other aspects. It was precisely because of this that this guy, who had always been mentally spoiled, would not be grateful for his mother's care when he grew up. He had never thought about how difficult it was for his mother to take care of him alone and raise him. Instead, he felt that his mother had let him down and made his life so difficult. All of this wasn't his initial fault, but his mother's education. It was his mother who kept emphasizing that she had let him down. It was his mother who kept emphasizing that it was her that made his life so difficult. Therefore, subconsciously, he thought that everything was his mother's fault. His mother had always let him down and owed him. Not that she was indebted to him. It's your fault that your son has become like this today because he's not filial to you. Su-yun, there's a saying in Hua-xia, an unfilial son is the father's fault. As a parent, sometimes you should think more about it. At this moment, the driver came back with the coffee. Su-yun took a cup of coffee and handed it to the woman. The woman's first reaction was to give it to her son because he only bought 2 cups. But at this moment, Su-yun's gaze fell on the woman. There's a saying in Hua-xia, a filial son is born under the rod. If some children are really bad, a few beatings and scoldings really don't matter. I understand. The woman nodded. The driver was a little confused. He didn't understand what they were talking about. If you feel that your mother has embarrassed you, then pretend that you don't have a mother like me in the future. The woman suddenly said to her son, it's my fault for educating you like this. I'm willing to bear all the consequences. Mom. What do you mean by that? This was the first time he had called her Mom in a long time. In his opinion, it didn't matter, but at this moment, his mother's face was already covered in tears. The woman turned and left, throwing away the coffee in her hand. The driver was even more confused. He thought to himself, "If you don't want a drink, then give it to me." This cup of coffee costs 15,000 won. Because it was Su Yun who asked for it, he didn't dare to buy the cheap one. He bought the most expensive coffee. One must know that 15,000 won was enough for him to have a very, very big meal. He was never willing to spend more than 5,000 won on a meal. Although he took the receipt and was going to reimburse this money, he still felt the pinch. 15,000 won was enough to buy a few cabbages. "Mom, what do you mean by this?" Although he called his mother, his tone was still a little bit of complaint. It seemed that his mother didn't give him the so-called face in front of Su Yun, which made him feel very embarrassed. That was why he felt a little uncomfortable. But the woman didn't look back at him anymore. Only when a person is about to leave them would they realize how precious this close relative is. So when his mother no longer paid attention to him, he was really disappointed in his heart. This feeling was very uncomfortable. It was even more uncomfortable than when he didn't want his mother to appear, but when his mother appeared, she embarrassed him. "You can't take back what's spilled." Su Yun drank the coffee and said, "That cup of coffee spilled. Can you put the spilled coffee back into the cup?" "Of course not," the driver answered without thinking. There was no need to think about this question at all. Su Yun nodded. Sometimes, kinship is the same. When you think it's fine, you can hurt it without restraint. But when your kinship is spilled like this cup of coffee, it's hard to get it back. The driver's Adam's apple moved. Although he was a little worried, he felt that Su Yun's words were a little too alarmist. After all, that was his mother. He didn't believe that his mother would ignore him. "You have always been unscrupulously neglecting your own mother. Do you still feel very disappointed when you suddenly think that your mother is about to neglect you?" Su Yun smiled. "This is kinship, and what you've lost today is precisely this most precious relationship." I won't lose it." The driver naturally refused to admit it. In the past, even if you didn't call her mom, she would still listen to you. But today, when you called her, she ignored you. Su Yun, your kinship seems to have fallen into a very deep crisis. Make up for it. Maybe there's a possibility of getting it back. "What exactly did you say to my mother?" The driver didn't understand. "I just told her that your unfilial behavior was caused by her behavior. And your unfilial behavior will become a hindrance in your career because no boss will raise an unfilial employee," Su Yun said. Perhaps the driver still didn't understand his mother's difficulties. His mother could be so ruthless because she wanted him to wake up and understand what filial piety was. That way, he wouldn't be fired by his boss in the future. Thinking of this, she ignored her son even if he called her mom. She understood Su Yun's education very thoroughly. She knew that if she didn't teach her son enough lessons, her son wouldn't really wake up. Su Yun looked at the heartless mother, who left without looking back. There was only admiration left in his heart. The driver was completely stunned. He stood there and didn't know what to do. Su Yun waved his hand and motioned for him to return to the car. "It's better not to stay in a place where you can see the ups and downs of society. I don't like emotional things, so take me to a more prosperous place with more beauties. At least that way, I'll feel better." Although the driver really wanted to talk to his mother, Su Yun had given the order, so he had no choice but to obey. He decided to go home at night and take out his savings to buy some beef. He wanted to have a meal with his mother and have a chat. Chapter 3394. Su Yun spent 2 to 3 hours walking around the most prosperous area in Korea. It left him with very few feelings. It was not as prosperous as Su Yun had imagined. It was quite different from the wealth shown in Korean dramas. The poor people selling fried rice cakes on the street were in a similar situation as the pancake sellers in Hwaseong. It could even be said that their situation was far worse than the people in Hwaseong roadside stalls. This was because the income of the roadside stall owners in Korea was not much different from the income of the roadside stall owners in Hwaseong. However, when judging the standard of living from a material point of view, it was completely different. It could even be said that it was a world of difference. The roadside stall owners in Korea earned about 1 million won a month. It was about the same as the hardworking people in Hwaseong who earned 6 to 7,000 won. However, 6 to 7,000 won was no problem in Hwaseong. After all, people in Hwaseong who earned more than 120,000 a year were high-income people. Many people in Hwaseong were accidentally called high-income people. They were probably a little excited just thinking about it. Not to mention whether they paid taxes or not, paying taxes was the obligation of every citizen. If they didn't pay taxes, what would the leaders eat? What would the leaders drink? Not to mention delicacies, they probably wouldn't even be able to drink 4 dishes and 1 soup from public funds, right? The civil servants who didn't have any real power were probably really going to have nothing to eat. Think about the hard work our leaders had put in for the construction of the city. Think about the warm smiles of the civil servants when we went to do things to write certificates and make applications. Shouldn't we pay taxes? Their wages are the taxes of us ordinary people, so we have to work hard to earn money and pay taxes. This way, we can ensure that their wages can increase every year and their income can keep up with the speed of currency depreciation. Perhaps some taxpayers were unwilling because when they went to the civil servants to solve all kinds of tasks that they needed to work to complete, they would often be faced with an expressionless face, a cold voice, and an impatient attitude. In fact, at this time, they only needed to point at the civil servants' noses and tell them, "I am your parent. The tax I pay every month is equivalent to your year's salary. Don't treat me as if I owe you money. I don't owe you anything." If everyone could do this, a few civil servants who were not ambitious enough would also understand under the influence of the general environment. Oh, it turned out that the commoners were their parents. There was no need for others to teach him how to treat those who provided for him. For example, Lao Guo, who performed crosstalk, and Master Yu, who smoked, drank, and permed his hair. Regardless of whether their characters were good or bad, most ordinary people would not be able to get in touch with them. However, when they performed crosstalk on stage, they would bow to the people who bought the tickets. But he wouldn't bow to someone who had read a few jokes on the internet, because that wasn't what he called a parent. For example, there were all sorts of immortals who wrote novels. As long as there were fans who liked their novels and wanted them to reward them with large amounts of money, they would grit their teeth and do it. Why? Because this was the respect that people showed to their parents. The great guru wouldn't update just because a random reader shouted a few sentences. This was because some people who pirated the story and didn't even register their accounts weren't considered readers at all. Being a benefactor meant that you had to repay the money you earned from others. This was the same as repaying filial piety to your parents. If your parents gave you love, you had to repay them with filial piety. If your benefactor gave you material things to live on, you had to repay them with good works. It was the same for civil servants. Since their salaries were paid by the commoners, they had to do things for the commoners. They had to do things well and do their best to serve the commoners. People who didn't take the commoners seriously were definitely not good people. It was the same whether it was in their official career or in society. Back to the hotel. Su Yun, who was bored, said to the driver, "I want to rest." "Director Su, do you want to call and ask? Our chairman Song might still be discussing something with Director Zhua. Do you want to go and take a look?" The driver said. He had received a message half an hour ago. Chairman Song had already invited Zhua Meiyan to the company for a discussion. No need. Su Yun's answer was very straightforward. He didn't want to listen to that. It was too much of a hassle. The driver quickly replied to Chairman Song and told him that Su Yun was going to the hotel to rest and wouldn't go to the company. After reporting, the chauffeur drove Su Yun to the best hotel in the area. Chairman Song had already arranged for the best suite here, and Su Yun and Zhua Meiyan were given one each. When Su Yun arrived, there was already a professional service at the hotel entrance. He politely guided Su Yun to his room. On the way, Su Yun received a lot of suspicious looks. This was because the clothes he was wearing were really too low class For many Korean people, however, such a low-class person was actually valued by the hotel. Naturally, the other guests were surprised. In fact, the hotel staff were also very surprised. This was because they thought that Chairman Song's guests would be very high class. It was normal for them to be wearing luxurious accessories. It was normal for them to be able to earn a lifetime's worth of money just from a small ring. However, this type of person who was wearing sportswear was a little hard to understand. Soo-yoon didn't care about that. It was fine as long as he was comfortable. After arriving at the hotel suite, Soo-yoon looked around. The standard was about the same as the Sky Entertainment Hotel's presidential suite. There was nothing new about it. Before Soo-yoon could sit down, the driver knocked on the door. Soo-yoon opened the door. "What's wrong? Are you tired too? Do you want to rest for a while?" No. Chairman Soo, I wouldn't dare. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be waiting downstairs, the driver said. Also, you've been working hard all day. Do you need a massage to relax? Our chairman has arranged it. Just let me know if you need it. Of course. Soo-yoon nodded. No matter how comfortable the seat was, it would still make one feel uncomfortable after sitting for a long time in a car and a plane. I'll arrange for someone to come over now. The driver said, I won't disturb your rest. Just as the driver was about to close the door, Soo-yoon said, Wait a moment. Chairman Soo, what else can I do for you? The driver stopped. You don't have to wait for me downstairs. I'm definitely going to rest for 2 to 3 hours. I won't go out until it's lunchtime. If you have the time, go to that place just now to see your mother. It's not too far away anyway. Just come back in 3 hours. The driver was stunned. He didn't expect Soo-yoon to say something like this. After all, he was just a nobody. Regardless of whether it was charity or pity, the driver stood at the door and bowed to Soo-yoon. Soo-yoon waved his hand. You should treat your family with the same courtesy you treat others. Also, I don't owe you anything. Don't worry. I just don't want to see a mother in such a pitiful state. Thank you, Chairman Soo. The driver closed the door and left. Soo-yoon returned to the side of the bed and lay down. It felt good to sleep now. When the sky turned dark, he would ask Zwame-yen to go to Korea's night market. And not bad. This little tour was very comfortable. I'll also buy some things for Wan Ching-shuang and the rest. This was a tradition of Hua Xia people. They would buy some souvenirs wherever they went. Even if the souvenirs were the same all over the country and were all bought from a wholesale market in a certain city, Hua Xia people still liked to buy souvenirs. However, Soo-yoon was not interested in the same souvenirs in China. For Korea, Soo-yoon did not intend to buy expensive souvenirs to contribute to their country's economy. However, he did not care about the cheap souvenirs. In any case, spending a few million won wouldn't help Korea's precarious economic situation at all. Lying on the big bed, Soo-yoon stretched his body comfortably. He really felt that his bones were going to melt. If the massage master could be more professional, it would definitely be a great enjoyment for Soo-yoon. Finally, after waiting for a few minutes, Soo-yoon heard a knock on the door. He thought that it was quite fast. Soo-yoon was stunned when he opened the door. Because he did not believe that the massage master would be so beautiful. Such a beautiful girl would not be able to do this. This was not to say that Soo-yoon was discriminating against her profession. It was just that this profession was very tiring and difficult. How could such a beautiful girl do it? Even if she wanted to do this profession, there would definitely be rich suitors who would not be willing to let her do it. Chapter 3395. Hello, Mr. Soo. It's me. I'm Han Yen, After the pretty girl finished speaking, she went straight into the room and closed the door. She also conveniently placed the small handbag in her hand on the small table in the hall. Soo-yoon quickly realized that she was not a massage technician. After the girl introduced herself, Soo-yoon realized that Han Yen was an A-list actress in Korea. She was good at dancing and singing. She was also in a TV series and was very popular in Korea. It was not Soo-yeon's fault that he did not react immediately. After all, it was hard to tell the difference between the Korean beauties, especially those who debuted in this kind of group. I don't think we've made an appointment before, Soo-yeon said. Han Yen smiled and said, Mr. Soo, you are so busy. Of course I can't make an appointment with you. I didn't expect you to speak Chinese so well. Although Soo-yeon didn't know what she was here for, as the saying goes, one doesn't slap a smiling face. Her attitude was so good, and she was a beauty, so Soo-yeon definitely couldn't give her a straight face. If she was a man, it would be normal for him to give her a hard time. Do you know how hard I work? In order to learn Chinese, I have to spend more than half of my rest time every day. I'm happy if I can sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, Han Yen said. You don't have to work so hard, Soo-yeon said. You just need to know a language. Look at Hua Xia. Many artists only need good looks. They don't need to be good at acting or talented. They don't need to learn any other languages. Han Yen was shocked and asked, Can people like that survive? Of course. As long as you are handsome enough, you don't need to be good in other aspects. Soo-yeon nodded and said, If you can make a living with your looks, why not? Of course, I'm talking about natural looks. If it's not natural, it won't work. Only natural handsomeness has no blind spots. Soo-yeon was telling the truth. He did not mean to slander anyone. This was the case in this era. One could rely on one's looks to make a living. With good looks, one could choose not to work hard. It was just like the American basketball superstar, Tracy McGrady, who was once popular in Hua Xia. With talent, one could choose not to train and still become the king of points. Even if he did not even make it to the second round of the playoffs, his talent was enough for him to live a carefree life. What he was afraid of was the kind that did not have the talent and did not work hard. In the entertainment industry, as long as one was good-looking, one could become famous without working hard. This was already the norm. Do you think I'm pretty? Han Yen smiled and walked closer to Soo-yeon. Soo-yeon nodded, turned around and walked back into the house. You're pretty, so you don't need to learn Chinese at all. You don't need to be talented to be able to survive in this circle. But if you don't learn Chinese well, you won't be able to develop well in Hua Xia, Han Yen said. Look at you Korean artists who can make a lot of money in Hua Xia. How many of you can really speak Chinese? Soo-yeon waved his hand. Even American Koreans can come to Hua Xia to make money as long as they are good-looking. So this is not important at all. Han Yen was surprised by Soo-yeon's words. In fact, Soo-yeon was saying that no matter how good she learned Chinese, she should not come to Hua Xia to make money in the future. Hua Xia would not buy it. If she really wanted to make money as easily as Hua Xia artists, study Chinese hard, and adapt to the Hua Xia culture, she could just become a citizen of Hua Xia. Then I can meet your standards now? Han Yen looked at Soo-yeon expectantly. Soo-yeon shook his head. I don't have any standards. You are entertainment artists. You have to entertain the public. It has nothing to do with me. Then President Soo, if I go to Hua Xia to develop, why do you want to develop in Hua Xia? Soo-yeon asked. Han Yen said directly, because it is more profitable to develop in Hua Xia. This is the highest pursuit of every Korean artist. And then, Soo-yeon continued. Han Yen was stunned. And then what? Besides making money, don't you have any other ideas? Soo-yeon asked again. Well, I don't quite understand what you mean. Han Yen shook her head. Soo-yeon waved his hand. Then you can go back first. Think about it slowly. I have already made an appointment for a massage. I am a little tired now. I just want to rest. So I won't keep you. When Han Yen heard Soo-yeon asking her to leave, she immediately said, I am the one who is going to give you a massage. I am here to help you relax. What? Soo-yeon was stunned. He didn't expect Old Song to be so straightforward and play such a trick on him. The unspoken rules were almost becoming the standard PR method of Korea entertainment. Looks like this Korean celebrity is under a lot of pressure behind all the glory. Thinking about the news reports, the Korean stars in Korea worked almost 24 hours a day. They ate and slept in the RV. There were all kinds of suicides and miscarriages under pressure. I really do know how to massage, Han Yen said seriously. And I am very good at it. President Soo, you will know if you try it. I promise you will be very satisfied. Are you sure you are not joking with me? Soo-yoon was a little speechless. You only have a few hours to sleep every day. You have to sing, dance, shoot TV shows, attend all kinds of events, and participate in all kinds of variety shows. Are you sure you have time to learn how to massage? Han Yen nodded. Yes, because the Korean style of massage evolved from our country's family massage. I know how to loosen bones, massage oil, and hot compress. My mother trained me since I was a child. Then you're really talented. Soo-yoon laughed dryly. I am telling the truth. If you don't believe me, I can explain it to you first. You can see if I am professional enough, Han Yen said. Soo-yoon thought to himself, I don't know professional massage. Even if you explain it to me, I won't understand. The usual steps of our Korean-style massage are to massage along the shoulder blade, spine, and hip bone. This is called loosen bones. Han Yen said seriously, when your limbs are relaxed, I will use a hot water pack to make a hot compress for you. Put the hot compress bag on the shoulder joint and the spine that is vulnerable to cold. It will make you feel very comfortable. When your pores open, I will rub the best massage oil in the palm of my hand. Then I will massage your back and limbs. I promise you will feel energetic and comfortable from the inside out. Okay. I got it. I understand. Soo-yoon nodded. I believe you. I believe you are a professional. Then let's get started. Han Yen couldn't wait. Han Yen was really looking forward to it. Even if she didn't have a purpose, she didn't mind having some intimate interactions with Soo-yoon. After all, Soo-yoon was very charming. Plus, he was the king of the entertainment industry in the Eastern Hemisphere. This was not something ordinary people could do. As a woman working hard in the entertainment industry, what man could be more attractive to Han Yen than Soo-yoon? Well, I am not used to this, Soo-yoon said. In the past, even massages were done by professional healthcare technicians. He was definitely not used to having a celebrity in the entertainment industry give him a massage. After all, he was not that familiar with the industry. Han Yen smiled. You can get used to it. You just have to trust me. Then, what do I need to do now? Soo-yoon was a little embarrassed. Well, I will help you change. First, I will help you take a shower, and then, wait? Soo-yoon was stunned. At this time, Han Yen was about to undress Soo-yoon. Soo-yoon quickly stepped back and looked at Han Yen nervously. Seeing Soo-yoon like this, Han Yen couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Soo, why are you so afraid of me? I am not a lion or a tiger. I won't eat you. If she was a lion or a tiger, Soo-yoon wouldn't be afraid. What Soo-yoon was afraid of was this kind of blatant unspoken rule. Seeing Han Yen so familiar with the process, Soo-yoon felt a little sorry. She was such a good girl, but she was tainted in the entertainment industry. It was a common situation in the entertainment industry. You want to help me take a shower? Soo-yoon didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Didn't Korean massage develop from Korean family massage? Does Korean massage have a step of helping you take a shower? Chapter 3396. Han Yen looked serious and said, It's not a big deal for a wife to help her husband take a bath, right? Of course it's not a big deal, because they are husband and wife. Soo-yoon said, But you and I are definitely different. You and I aren't husband and wife. That's a fundamental problem. Mr. Soo, why do you care so much? Han Yen was surprised. At this moment, she even wondered if Soo-yoon was straight. After all, with her beauty, not many men could resist her. Very few people could resist her temptation. At least, Han Yen-er was sure that all the men she knew would be willing to kneel down under her skirt. It was just that she really didn't like ordinary men. Only someone like Su Yun could be considered a male god in her heart. Appearance, body, ability, career, money. Thinking about all these super labels on Su Yun, no girl would have a reason to reject him. No matter what kind of pursuit a girl had, she could find what she wanted on Su Yun. And those unimportant things were done to the extreme by Su Yun. Who wouldn't be tempted? The only ones who wouldn't be tempted were women. Not to mention those who weren't in a relationship. Even those who had a boyfriend or a husband would be tempted when they saw Su Yun. It's not that I care, but you are a girl and I am a guy. You want to help me take a bath? You don't really think of me as Liu Shahui, do you? Su Yun asked. Who is Liu Shahui? Han Yen-er was shocked. She didn't understand what Su Yun meant. Su Yun felt awkward. It was difficult to communicate with Koreans. This Liu Shahui. His courtesy name was Zichin, and his posthumous name was Hui. He was an ancient thinker, politician, educator, and cultural founder of Huaxia. Su Yun said, so we call him Saint Liu Shahui. He was the model of Huaxia's traditional morality. Even the old master called him a forgotten sage. He had a saying that he could stay calm. Han Yen-er listened carefully. Koreans seem to be curious about Huaxia's traditional culture. There is a story. Su Yun said, in the state of Lu, there was a man who lived alone in a room. His neighbor was a widow who lived alone in a room. You know what widow means, don't you? Han Yen-er nodded and said, I know what widow means. And you people in Huaxia have a saying, there is a lot of trouble in front of a widow. Am I right? Why is there a lot of trouble in front of a widow? I won't explain this to you first. Let me make it clear to you first. Su Yun laughed dryly. Han Yen-er nodded and said, okay. One night, there was a storm and the widow's house was destroyed. The widow went to her neighbor's house and asked for shelter. The man didn't let the widow in, so the widow asked him why he didn't let her in through the window. The man said, I heard that men and women can't live together under the age of 16. I'm still young, and so are you, so I can't let you in. The woman said, why can't you be like Liu Shahui, who can use his body to warm the woman and avoid the cold? The man said, Liu Shahui can open the door but I can't. So I have to learn from Liu Shahui's open the door, by not opening the door. After Su Yun finished speaking, Han Yen-er looked confused. She didn't seem to understand. She's not even 16 and she's already a widow? Han Yen-er was surprised. Su Yun was speechless. Didn't people get married early in ancient times? Wasn't that the case in Korea? Oh, right, Korea probably didn't exist at that time. Han Yen-er didn't know much about history, so she didn't ask, is there such a man in the world? I'm afraid not now. Su Yun shook his head. That's why I'm telling you that what you're doing now is very dangerous. After all, I'm not Liu Shahui. It doesn't matter. I'm willing to do it, Han Yen-er said. Han Yen-er continued to help Su Yun take off his clothes. Su Yun took her hand down and asked her to sit down on the sofa. Did President Song arrange for you to come? Han Yen-er didn't say anything. Do you know why President Song asked you to come here? Su Yun said, he just wants to use me to open up communication with the Chinese entertainment industry and continue to maintain a smooth flow. Yes, I admit it. Han Yen-er didn't explain. And I also hope that through this, I can get the opportunity to develop in Huaxia. President Su, I've put in a lot of effort for this. You'll do anything to achieve your goal? Su Yun asked. Han Yen-er looked at Su Yun in surprise. This is a method. Doesn't everything need a suitable method to accomplish it? You even sold yourself for your goal? I'm afraid that's not appropriate. Su Yun shook his head. I don't think there's anything inappropriate about it. Han Yen-er shook her head. President Su, we really worked very hard to get the opportunity to debut. The price we paid for this job is no easier than the Huaxia students going to college. Su Yun smiled. I know that. It's not easy for you to debut as a trainee in Korea. It's not just not easy. Han Yen sighed helplessly. Our company trains artists for 3 years. 3 years. It's been really hard for me during these 3 years. I joined the company at the age of 15, and the company began to train me to become an artist. Then I can debut at the age of 18. I'm now called a trainee. Su Yun nodded. There are many Huaxia students who come to Korea as trainees. I know that. We not only have to receive training in singing, dancing, physique and other aspects, but also have to be arranged by the company. In the process of training, the company will not hesitate to cruelly eliminate unqualified people if they can't sing well, or if they grow up and look out of shape. They won't stay for talent at all. Su Yun smiled. You Koreans are all idols. If you grow up, you won't continue to spend energy on training. This is for the company's benefit, but it's also the cruel reality. President Su, I'm afraid you don't know our elimination rate. Our elimination rate is more than 50%. That is to say, many people are completely eliminated after 3 years. Han Yen shook her head with a wry smile. If we stay, it's really no different from an army crossing a single plank bridge. But as long as you debut, the company will have a good way to promote you and make you famous. Su Yun said, the risk is high, but the profit is also high. Can I understand it this way? Many people know the elimination rate when they become trainees, but they still choose to go. Why? Han Yen pointed at herself. President Su, can you tell what kind of surgery I've had? This should be a compulsory course for Korean artists, Su Yun said. Han Yen nodded. That's right. Plastic surgery is a compulsory course for us artists. Those trainees who are still in the training stage have also undergone plastic surgery before they become famous. This is nothing for people who love beauty, right? Su Yun said. Han Yen smiled bitterly. Many Koreans have undergone plastic surgery, but sometimes we don't want to do it. After all, some of the risks are high, and there is a risk of disfigurement. Su Yun shrugged. If you don't accept it, you'll be eliminated? That's right. Han Yen nodded. When we're trainees, each of us has to undergo a camera test. That is, let the camera film you from all angles on the stage. Then, a professional will give an evaluation. The results of the evaluation will be the basis to determine whether the artist needs to undergo plastic surgery before their debut. They will undergo partial plastic surgery depending on the specific situation. This way, every side in the camera will be perfect. Su Yun gave him a thumbs up. I admire this very much. This is the reason why everyone in your Korean idol group is so good-looking after their debut. You have to suffer when you're on stage. It can't be helped. Many people have undergone plastic surgery. The major ones are nose enlargement, and the minor ones are face thinner. Han Yen said, more than 80% of the members of a group need face thinner injections. Otherwise, it is impossible to make every shot perfect. Speaking of which, it was not easy to be a Korean idol. If you wanted to be famous, make money, and be the center of attention, you had to endure a lot more pressure and hardship than ordinary people. Chapter 3397. Su Yun handed a bottle of water to Han Yen. Everyone has their own path. You have to accept what you choose. Being an artist in Korea is also a high-paying industry. It seems that many of us are making a lot of money, but the money we get is not as optimistic as we think. Han Yen said, because during the 3 years we are trainees, the company has to pay for all our expenses. Every year, each of us has to pay at least 150 million Korean won. It is a high investment. Close to 1 million RMB. Su Yun nodded. It is indeed a lot of money. If one person needs that much, and if it is a group of more than 10 people, including those who have been eliminated, it will be a lot of money. Han Yen sighed helplessly. To ensure that we can get back this high investment, the contract with our company is quite long. It is common for us to have a 5-year contract. Some of them are even dead contracts. We will stay with the company until we die. The company is not a charity organization. To make you famous, it is not just for you to make money. That would be boring. Su Yun said, to the company, you are a tool for the company to make money. Hearing Su Yun's words, Han Yen nodded sadly. The company takes a very high percentage of our income. I get 30% to 70%, and some people get 20% to 80%. Many artists don't even get money in their first few years. I have been famous in Korea for more than 3 years, but I still don't have the money to buy a house for my parents. This was common in Korea, and Su Yun knew it very well. Those young people who wanted to be famous had no concept of money at first, because before they became famous, they only had one thought, and that was to be famous. But what about after they became famous? What about after they became famous for a long time? They might have conflicts with the management company, and if they wanted to leave the company, they had to pay a high penalty. The frightening amount of liquidated damages often made the artists trained by these companies shrink back. In addition, Korea had organizations like the Singers Association. If a singer wanted to leave before the contract was up, even if he could afford the penalty, the Singers Association would ask other companies not to sign with him. This was a method to restrict artists. Korea's entertainment company was very experienced in controlling artists. Any entertainment company would definitely have such concerns before signing a contract, so they would first seal off all escape routes. The only people who dared to terminate their contracts with Korea Entertainment were probably Hwa Xia, who had debuted as a trainee in Korea. This was because Hwa Xia could return to China to develop her career. So what if Korea banned her? Even after returning to China, there were still so many fans. So what if there was a high penalty fee? Not afraid. Such a small penalty was nothing to an artist who had returned to their homeland to develop their career. The money he casually earned in a year was enough to pay several penalty fees, so it didn't matter if he was confident. But to the artists of Korea, this money was worth a lot of money. Idol artists are an industry that relies on youth to make a living. Mr. Su, you're in the entertainment industry, so you know it very well. How many of them are forgotten by the public after just a few years of their debut? Han Yen said, let's take Hwa Xia's F4 for example. How many people still pay attention to them? Su Yun nodded in agreement. In order not to be forgotten, I can only keep rushing to work. Han Yen lowered her head. I have to work as hard as I can. There are hundreds of variety shows in Korea. In addition to recording records and shooting movies and TV series, I also have to accept the company's arrangements to participate in these variety shows. I even only slept in the hotel twice in a month and spent the rest of the time in the RV. This was not strange in Korea's entertainment industry. In order to rush to work, I had to drive over the speed limit and got into a car accident. Even the driver died. Han Yen sighed. I didn't expect to be so lucky. Not only did I not die, but I was also slightly injured. If I had been disfigured, I would have been forgotten in a corner. The company wouldn't have wasted any investment on me. In fact, Han Yen was not the most tired. Some of the most popular groups had 20 magazine shoots a day, so it was normal for them to rush to 10 shows. Many people fainted because of lack of sleep, and many people got sick because of too much training. It's more difficult for us female artists than male artists. There are many potential threats around us. When Han Yen said this, her face looked terrible. Su Yun actually knew that it was similar to today's arrangement. However, Su Yun felt that since it was his choice and he was willing to give up everything for success, there was nothing to complain about. In fact, it was not impossible to refuse. However, once he refused, he would have to cut off his own path. There were many paths a person could take in his life. If someone wanted to be an official, they could become a government official. If someone wanted to be a businessman, they could become a businessman. If someone wanted to live a comfortable life, they could do art. If someone wanted to be in the limelight, they could become an artist. In fact, there wasn't only one path in life. There were many paths in life. If one path was cut off, then take another. As long as one didn't give up on oneself, there would definitely be a path that belonged to oneself. Not only could this path be completed, but it could also be completed beautifully. However, once he gave up his dignity and abandoned himself, there was no hope. There was only death. In the end, he would become someone that even the world would give up on. Many Korean actresses had fallen because of this matter. Of course, some threats were the most terrifying. It was hard to guard against an arrow in the dark. No matter if it was an arrow in the dark, it was difficult to guard against. Some female celebrities were secretly filmed by their boyfriends, and then they were threatened to pay money. Some were drugged by their own managers, and some managers colluded with the underworld to extort money from their artists. These were all things that had happened before. Because Korea did not have an agent system, the company would arrange an agent to be an assistant. This kind of assistant usually knew a lot of the artist's privacy. When the agent did not get the expected benefits, he would do everything he could to take revenge on the artist. Jin Hanbang's agent was a good example. When he could get enough benefits, he was like a dog beside Jin Hanbang. When he realized that he would not be able to make a name for himself with Jin Hanbang, he simply kicked Jin Hanbang away like a dog. This was a purely profit-driven relationship, so there was no true love or real concern in it. If you can't complete the task that President Song gave you this time, what will happen to him? Soo-yoon smiled and asked Han Yen-er. Han Yen-er bit her lips nervously. The whole world knew how strict the management of Korea Entertainment was. Being beaten was the lightest punishment. Soo-yoon was very clear about the Korean people's worship of Confucianism. This was why they said that Confucius was also a Korean. Because the Koreans admired Hua Xia culture and were fanatical about Confucianism, they used Confucianism as a management method. In the company, the relationship between seniors and juniors was very clear, not to mention the position of the president and the others in the company. Han Yen-er had seen this kind of hierarchy many times. For example, if a member of a group was disobedient, the senior or the leader would be the elder brother, and it was normal to punch and kick him. If the artists in Korea wanted to be famous, they had to be obedient. They had to be very, very obedient. Otherwise, the company would ban them. For example, if an artist got fat, the company would ask them to lose weight. If they couldn't do it, they would be frozen. If there was any behavior that went against traditional Confucianism, they would be banned, or even banned from the entire industry. If an artist in Korea wanted to escape the military and become a citizen of another country, they would definitely be banned from the entire country. This person would be completely finished. This was the result of going against traditional Confucianism. Therefore, if an artist in Korea dared to disobey, the consequences were quite serious. It was so serious that the artist trembled all over. Han Yen-er's task was personally given by the president. Therefore, if Han Yen-er couldn't complete this task perfectly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking about Soo-yoon's attitude, Han Yen-er trembled a little. If Soo-yoon really didn't fall for this, how would she end up? Would she really go back with her tail between her legs and tell President Song that she didn't have the charm to move Soo-yoon? How would President Song believe that? Chapter 3398. Han Yen-er shuddered and looked at Soo-yoon carefully. Mr. Soo, I beg you. I don't know what to do now. Even if you are Lu Shui, I hope you won't ruin my life. Soo-yoon quickly waved his hand. Don't say that. Your life is ruined by you. It has nothing to do with me. But if you let me walk out of your room today, my life will be ruined. Han Yen-er's face was full of horror. Soo-yoon had a headache. He rubbed his temples. What do you want to do? I don't want you to think that I ruined your life. That would be too big a sin. Han Yen-er looked pitiful. Mr. Soo, as long as you don't drive me away, I will do anything. Soo-yoon felt like she was about to die from embarrassment. He made it sound like she wasn't prepared to do anything when she came in. Don't be so pitiful. Soo-yoon said, aren't you a professional massager? Then give me a Korean-style massage. I'm indeed tired. The entertainment industry was a big vat of pollution. Many things were helpless. Because this kind of thing was what many men needed and wanted to happen, it made the vat darker and darker. Now, it wasn't just a problem for female artists. Many male artists had the same problem. Every time she thought of this, Soo-yoon felt infuriated. It was because of these talents that the entertainment circle was in such a foul atmosphere. This made many people who were clean and had relied on their own hard work to achieve success feel disgusted. Why did people say that there was nothing in the entertainment industry today? As long as you were good-looking, you could be famous, regardless of whether you were a man or a woman. It was because many people used this kind of thing to make a name for themselves. Women spread their legs and men raised their buttocks in order to get to the top. If the dirty things in the entertainment industry weren't eliminated as soon as possible, there was no need for the industry to exist. The entertainment industry was for the public to entertain, not to pollute. Positive things were what the entertainment industry needed to promote. It shouldn't be like today. Whenever the entertainment industry was mentioned, even the onlookers frowned. Why was that? Actually, Soo-yoon really wanted to question those people who had made the entertainment industry famous in the first place. Soo-yoon didn't know if the golf incident or the snapping of bananas really happened, but Soo-yoon knew very well that there was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. There was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. Then I will help you change and take a shower. Han Yen-er was relieved. Soo-yoon waved his hand. There's no need for that. I can't be sure if there are any hidden cameras in the room President Song arranged for me. Han Yen-er was shocked. It's not like nothing has happened in Korea before. Do you really think that I dare to take off my clothes here? Soo-yoon smiled bitterly. Although I'd be a bastard if I didn't take advantage of the situation, I'm not that stupid. Soo-yoon wasn't joking. He believed that President Song of Korea Entertainment Company could really do such a thing. He only needed to sacrifice one artist to open up the market for Hwa Sia. Anyone would be willing to do that. Han Yen-er was confused. I don't know what your president promised you. Did he promise to increase your share or to package you perfectly and promote you in Hwa Sia? Soo-yoon said calmly. But I dare say that if I really take off my clothes here today and don't agree to cooperate with him, he will definitely release the video. Han Yen-er looked around. She really didn't dare to think about it. He won't care about losing an artist like you. Soo-yoon smiled. Trust me. Han Yen-er's heart fell to the bottom. How? How is that possible? President wouldn't do that. Do you really think your president treats you like a treasure? Soo-yoon said helplessly. If your president had a little bit of humanity, he wouldn't do such a thing. He wouldn't let you do the PR. Han Yen-er's face turned pale. I'm also a boss. I know what your boss is thinking. Soo-yoon said, push the one you want to give up to do this kind of thing. At least if this thing is exposed, he won't lose anything. The only one who will lose is me. Han Yen-er was in a dilemma. What should she do? If there really was a pair of eyes staring at her, where should she go? Come on, give me a massage. With that said, Soo-yoon sprawled on the bed. At least this way, when you return, you can tell your president's Song that I'm gay and can't stand straight. Even if you use all your tricks, you won't be able to do anything to me. Han Yen-er's eyes were a little frightened. That's meaningless. The president only wants results. Then open the door and leave. Soo-yoon smiled. Because I definitely won't give you results. Han Yen-er was silent. So, now you know. The person who pushed you into the abyss wasn't me, but President Song. The person who ruined your life wasn't me, but yourself. Soo-yoon said, your choice put you in this situation today. Go back and think about it. If an artist needs to throw away their self-esteem to become famous, then why continue? Han Yen-er fell into deep thought. No one had ever said something like this to her. Even her family told her that if she was under pressure, she should endure it. If she wanted to live a good life in Korea and eat Korean beef and pork ribs every day, she had to grit her teeth and persevere. Only if she continued to be famous could her quality of life not decline. Even if Han Yen-er had put in all her effort for this job, even if she had given up everything, including her dignity, for this job. President Sue, no matter what, thank you for today. But I've already come this far. There's no turning back. Han Yen-er suddenly stood up. If I can't complete the task the president gave me today, my life will be meaningless. Saying this, Han Yen-er stood up and took off her jacket. Soo-yoon was stunned. This girl was really stubborn. She was going to play tough with him. She believed that there were cameras, but she still wanted to continue to do this. She wanted to tell President Song that she could sacrifice anything for the company. Since the company wanted a scene of her and Soo-yoon having an affair together, then it would be enough for her to appear in full view, right? If you take off your jacket, you won't be able to wear it anymore. Soo-yoon didn't stop her. Do you think you'll still be a person in your company and President Song's eyes in the future? You're no longer a person in his eyes. You're a tool that he can use. Once you take off your jacket, I'm afraid you won't even be a tool. Han Yen-er hesitated. Soo-yoon shrugged. I don't care. Hua Xia has a saying that a straight foot is not afraid of a crooked foot. I'll definitely have my own way to deal with things I haven't done. Han Yen-er's Adam's apple moved. Plus, think about it. Even if President Song wants to use this to threaten me, I won't fall for it. Expose him? Soo-yoon said with disdain. Even if he wants to expose me, he can only do it in Korea. What about in Hua Xia? Hearing Soo-yoon's words, Han Yen-er broke out in a cold sweat. In Korea, your Chairman Song might be a big shot in your eyes, but I can tell you without holding back. Soo-yoon's expression was really nonchalant. Who does he think he is? If you dare to bet that the media is willing to offend me because of his request, you can give it a try. Soo-yoon's words sounded like he was bragging, but at the same time, he wasn't bragging. Since he dared to say it, it meant that Sky Entertainment Group had the ability to do it. Not only could Sky Entertainment Group do such a thing, but they could also do it beautifully. This was the power of Sky Entertainment Group, and it was something that Han Yen-er didn't dare to underestimate. She didn't even dare to make assumptions. You can continue. I won't stop you. Soo-yoon said, what I said just now was just to remind you that you are only destroying yourself by doing this. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not worried about President Song's threats at all. Even if I really sleep with you today, it doesn't matter to me. Then why don't you do it? Han Yen-er asked. I'm just not used to others admiring my valiant appearance in bed. Soo-yoon shrugged. Are you satisfied with this explanation? Chapter 3399. Han Yen-er smiled bitterly. She didn't expect Soo-yoon to be able to talk so casually at a time like this. No matter what would happen to her in the future, at this moment, she truly admired Soo-yoon. Director Soo, I really admire you, Han Yen-er said. If I hadn't met you, I might still be living the life I am living now. I would be willing to accept the unspoken rules to pursue what I want. Sometimes, the unspoken rules are only for the weak, Soo-yoon said. As long as you live a tough life, no one will be able to follow the unspoken rules. Han Yen-er nodded. If you want to be tough enough, you have to at least show your ability, Soo-yoon continued. If you don't have a certain ability, then forget it. You should be developing your career in film and television, so you need to really work on your acting skills. Otherwise, even if you use commercial means to become popular, you will be criticized. If you don't have a strong ability to withstand it, you will easily go crazy. What do you mean? Han Yen-er was shocked. It's exactly what it says, Soo-yoon said. There are so many people who make bad movies and have no acting skills. Are they all? Han Yen-er's expression was completely lost. It doesn't matter if your skin is thick enough, Soo-yoon said. If your skin isn't thick enough, then it won't be easy to withstand it. It's rare to see people go crazy in this industry because if an actor is thin-skinned, he or she won't be able to survive. So, most artists have a strong ability to withstand pressure. After all, in this society, there are a lot of haters. It's not easy to get a little praise for something you do, but there will definitely be haters. That's nothing, it's normal. Then what is a good movie? It won't be haters. Han Yen seem to have a lot of ideas at this moment. What is a good movie? Let me think about how to explain it. Su Yun said, a good movie doesn't just need actors who are good at it. It also needs a good director, a good script, and a good plot. It's not one-sided. What do you think is a good movie made by Hua Xia? Han Yen really wanted to learn and get some advice. Su Yun wasn't a teacher at the film academy, so he couldn't point out anything. However, it didn't matter if he expressed his opinion. I think that a Chinese ghost story from the 80s, Farewell My Concubine from the 90s, and The Infernal Affairs from the 21st century are all good. The recently released Mekong River is also quite good. Han Yen nodded and memorized everything. She said, I will read them one by one and study hard. Different countries have different cultures. Maybe in our Hua Xia, it's good. But in Korea, it might not be so. Su Yun. Some things are hard to say. Then, what's considered a bad movie in Hua Xia? Han Yen still didn't seem to have heard enough. Su Yun shrugged and said, Little Time 1234, a bad movie tetralogy. It's the king of bad movies. Han Yen was shocked when she heard this. Usually, only classic movies would have a few tetralogy, such as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. She had never heard of a bad movie being made into a tetralogy. This director must be very good, right? Otherwise, how could there be a market for bad movies? Han Yen looked at him in disbelief. Su Yun nodded. Of course, he must be very good. People have given him the nickname Hua Xia's best plagiarist. He's very good. Because he has the means to attract fans and brainwash them, no matter how bad the movie is, the box office is guaranteed. These tetralogy have sold for 1.8 billion renminbi. It's not simple. Han Yen was shocked. If there was such a number in the Korean film industry, it would be a godly existence. I'm just kidding. Actually, this guy isn't a director at all. He's an author who relied on plagiarism to get into Hua Xia's Writers Association. Su Yun said, in Hua Xia, the real 4 bad movies should be Director Zhang's One Step Away, Director Chen's Wuji, Director Zhang's 3 Shots, and Director Feng's Private Customization. These are all real big directors. Movies of this level are the real bad movies. But this guy isn't a director. The movies he made aren't movies at all. They're just products used to make money. Han Yen nodded. Compared to the 4 bad movies made by the 4 big directors, she was more curious about how this director who wasn't a director could be so good. In Hua Xia, can people who plagiarize enter Hua Xia's Writers Association? Han Yen didn't believe it. Isn't that a stain? I don't know about that. Because in Hua Xia, there's something called recommendation. As for this guy, he didn't get into the Writers Association through selection. He got recommended. Su Yun said, and Hua Xia is a society where the power of connections is always greater than one's ability. So, you know. Han Yen was stunned. There's an unspoken rule? I'm not from that circle. I don't dare to say that. Su Yun said, but I know a friend who writes good novels. Many people read them. But after he applied to the Writers' Association, it sank like a stone into the sea. And it's not even the Hua Xia Writers' Association. It's just a provincial writers' association. Looks like the water in Hua Xia is deep in all industries. Han Yen shook her head. So don't think about going to Hua Xia. It's good to stay in your country. Su Yun said, if this industry is always controlled by others, then leave early. Otherwise, it's not worth it to be abandoned when your youth is gone. Han Yen only had a bitter smile on her face. Since Su Yun had nothing to do in the room, he chatted with Han Yen-er for about an hour. After Han Yen-er left, Soo-yoon looked at all the lights in the room and closed all the curtains. There was no light in the room and it was completely dark. Then, Soo-yoon took out his phone and turned on the camera function. He checked every corner of the room. The most important thing was the blind spots of the room, the ceiling, the TV, the air conditioner, and other places where pinhole cameras could be installed. Because pinhole cameras relied on infrared in dark situations, if there was a pinhole camera, the phone would see a red dot. If there was a red dot in the room, it meant there was a camera. Sure enough, Soo-yoon found it after a careful search. Soo-yoon found the pinhole camera under the decorative painting hanging next to the TV. After Soo-yoon found the camera, he didn't directly destroy it. Instead, he pretended to inadvertently block the camera with a dry vase in the room. Soo-yoon knew very well that these scenes would be recorded. If he didn't want the other party to know that he had found out, he had to do something. Soon, Soo-yoon got up and turned on the light. He also opened the curtains and sat on the bed facing the camera. He pretended to make a phone call. "I just checked the room. There shouldn't be any surveillance. I'm relieved." Soo-yoon pretended to make a phone call just to make the person secretly watching him believe that he didn't find the camera. But now the camera was blocked by the dry vase, and the scene in the room was almost blocked. If he wanted to continue monitoring, he had to deal with it. Therefore, Soo-yoon purposely revealed a flaw and continued to pretend to be on the phone. "Actually, I'm not that tired. I can't sleep. I'm planning to go to the bar in the hotel and have a drink. I'll talk to you later." Soo-yoon pretended to hang up the phone. Then, he got up and walked out of the room. As for why Soo-yoon showed such a flaw, naturally, he had his reasons. Soo-yoon took the elevator down to the hotel bar and knocked on the bar counter. "Sir, what would you like to drink?" "Anything." Soo-yoon took out two 50,000 won notes from his pocket and threw them on the table. The waiter took the money and immediately went to prepare the drinks for Soo-yoon. But when he returned, Soo-yoon had already left, leaving the waiter confused. He didn't know if the guest had left or went to the bathroom, but he still put the drinks on the table and waited. After all, a guest who threw out 100,000 won could be considered a rich person. No one liked to offend the rich. This phenomenon was not only in Hua-sia, but also in any country. Therefore, it was easy to do things with money. This saying was very suitable in today's world. Moreover, Korea was a classic example of a small capitalist country that learned from the American Empire. Money was the most important thing. The reason why Soo-yoon left so quickly was because he had already confirmed that the person who was watching him had left after seeing him clearing the bar. At this time, Soo-yoon could be sure that the person was preparing to enter his room. Chapter 3400. Soo-yoon didn't guess wrong. After he left the room and entered the bar, a figure quickly came to the door of his room, took out a room card, and easily entered Soo-yoon's room. This person entered Soo-yoon's room for only one thing, and that was to move the vase in front of the camera to the side. As long as the vase wasn't in front of the camera, Soo-yoon probably wouldn't notice. This way, the camera would be able to capture a normal scene in the room. After this guy settled the matter, he immediately turned to leave. He didn't dare to delay for even a minute. The faster he left, the safer he would be. But when he opened the door to leave, a black shadow blocked the door. At this moment, Soo-yoon stood at the door with a smile on his face, looking into the room. The guy in front of him couldn't help but tremble. He really almost knelt in front of Soo-yoon. "May I ask why you came to my room, Sumida?" Soo-yoon wasn't angry at all. This made the guy in front of him sigh in relief. "Sorry. I went to the wrong room. Sorry, it's all my fault, I'm sorry." "Sorry." This guy actually wanted to get away with it like this? Soo-yoon shook his head helplessly. "Do you think I'm an idiot, Sumida? You went to the wrong room. How can you enter my room with a room card? Do you think you can enter Korea's hotels with just a card? There's a problem with the room card. I'm going to the front desk now." This guy continued to lie. "I'll definitely ask the hotel to compensate us. Please don't mind." F***CKU Simida. Su Yun suddenly turned hostile. He kicked this guy into the room and slammed the door. This guy, who was in charge of monitoring Su Yun by Chairman Song, instantly fell to the ground and kowtowed. Sorry, I really didn't mean it, sorry. Please forgive me. Please let me out. Why are you still pretending? Su Yun pointed at the vase. Do you think I don't remember where I put the vase? Cold sweat instantly appeared on the other party's forehead. Do you really think I don't know about the pinhole camera under the picture frame? Su Yun sighed. Do you really think I'm a fool? Hearing Su Yun expose everything, the other party also softened. His head was deeply lowered in front of his chest, not daring to say a word, not even daring to breathe. What are you waiting for? Go and tear down that damn thing for me. Su Yun said impatiently. I've already said it so clearly. Are you still going to deny it? I'll tear it down right away. I'll tear it down right away. The unlucky child hurriedly went to do his job. Su Yun questioned from the side. Old Song has put in a lot of effort for this matter. He set one trap after another for me, just waiting for me to fall into it. Director Su, you've misunderstood. This matter has nothing to do with me. It was all arranged by Chairman Song. If you have any problems, please don't look for him, the person said. What's the point of looking for him now? Come with me first and destroy the video you secretly took of me. Su Yun was stunned. The guy froze on the spot. Chairman Su, please let me off this once. I didn't record anything, so please don't make me delete it. It's all part of my job. If I don't record anything, Chairman Song will definitely be furious. What will happen if he flies into a rage? Su Yun asked. He'll slap me and deduct my money. I might not be able to survive in this industry in the future, the poor guy begged. Then do you know what will happen if I fly into a rage? Su Yun asked again. The guy shook his head and looked at Su Yun blankly. Su Yun suddenly went forward and grabbed the guy's collar. Ignoring the guy's struggles and resistance, he directly dragged him to the window. Looking down from the hotel's huge floor-to-ceiling windows, one could clearly see the height. There was almost no chance of survival if one fell from more than 10 floors. Su Yun actually pushed open the window and pushed this guy out of the window without saying a word. When half of the guy's body was pushed out of the window by Su Yun, he was hysterical. I'll give it to you. I'll delete it for you. I'll take you to delete everything right now. Su Yun was just scaring him. The guy knew very well that Su Yun was just scaring him. There was no way he would really throw him out. However, even if it was just a scare, it was enough to make him break out in cold sweat. He was just an unknown local paparazzo. After being controlled by Chairman Song, he helped Chairman Song create negative news about his competitors. In other words, he was just a dispensable small fry. A small fry naturally wouldn't let himself fall into such a huge trap because it wasn't worth it. Su Yun dragged the paparazzo that Chairman Song had secretly raised back and threw him on the floor. Take me there now. Don't play any tricks, Simida. I won't give you a second chance. I have a huge weakness, and that is my lack of patience. The paparazzo nodded vigorously. He would do whatever Su Yun asked him to do. The two left Su Yun's room and went directly to a room downstairs. When Su Yun opened the door, he saw a computer and some equipment. There was also another man in the room. This man was much more muscular. When he saw that Su Yun had caught the paparazzo and brought him back, his expression changed instantly. He clenched his fists and stood up from the sofa. When he saw that the paparazzo had removed the obstacle in front of the camera, he thought that everything was fine. He immediately took off his headphones and laid down to sleep for a while. After all, Su Yun had left the room at that time, so there wasn't any exciting footage. Therefore, this muscular guy didn't see his paparazzo brother take down the camera. If he had seen it, he would have taken the computer and run away immediately. Yo, the two of you are working together. Do you not feel tired when you work together? Su Yun, no wonder you agreed to bring me here so quickly. You know that you have a helper. But your helper is really a simple-minded person. Any smart person would have taken the computer and run away first. The paparazzo was actually very puzzled as to why the big guy didn't run away. This was terrible. He agreed to bring Su-Yun here so quickly because he thought the big guy ran away. Now, the big guy didn't know what was going on and didn't have any intention of running away. The video was really blocked. What's going on? The muscular guy said to the paparazzo. The paparazzo was confused and shook his head helplessly. Delete the video. Chairman Su already knows. We should sincerely apologize to Chairman Su. The big guy was unwilling to do so. Are you crazy? This is what Chairman Song paid us 100 million Korean won to do. If we delete the video, we will have to delete 100 million Korean won. I won't do it. That depends on whether you have the ability to keep it, Su-Yun said. The big guy suddenly said to the paparazzo, I will control him. You take the computer and leave now. After that, the big guy really pounced on Su-Yun like a tiger. Su-Yun was too lazy to waste time with him. He grabbed the heavy glass ashtray on the table and slammed it on the big guy's face. The big guy's face was instantly covered in blood. His snot and cigarette ash mixed together. He lay on the ground and hugged his face as he screamed. Although he didn't rely on his face to make a living, in a country like Korea, where people relied on their faces to survive, even ugly people wouldn't want to be disfigured. Being disfigured seemed to be a more serious matter than being killed. The paparazzo was shocked and quickly begged for mercy. Chairman Su, I'll delete it. I'll delete it immediately. After that, the paparazzo directly deleted the video. Then, he gestured to Su-Yun to look at him and cleared the recycle bin. That's it? Su-Yun asked. The paparazzo nodded. Of course. The recycle bin has been cleared. There's no trace at all. I realize that you really like to treat people as fools. Su-Yun, do you think that I don't know how to restore a hard drive? Do you think that I don't know how to restore a deleted video? The paparazzo was speechless now. Su-Yun picked up the computer and threw it to the ground without saying a word. He stomped on it and crushed it. The second stomp turned the hard drive of the laptop into a metal pancake. Even a god wouldn't be able to restore it. Chapter 3401. Su-Yun stomped on the hard drive and left, leaving behind the paparazzi who had lost all hope and the big guy whose face was covered in blood and flesh. After Su-Yun walked a few meters away, he suddenly retreated to the door. Let me give you a suggestion. Leave now. I won't tell Chairman Song. At least you can still make a living in other cities. You won't have to stay here and be punished by him. Su-Yun left after saying that. The shrewd paparazzi made a prompt decision to leave this place and disappear as soon as possible. As long as they disappeared, Chairman Song wouldn't do anything to them. At least they still had a portion of the money Chairman Song had given them. With this money, they could open a small restaurant somewhere else and do some small business. Even if they went to the riverside and opened a small restaurant selling grilled squid, it was better than being scolded and banned here. Perhaps the money might even be forcibly taken back. Just like that, the paparazzi didn't even have time to take his brother to see the wounds on his face. He quickly drove away from the capital. President Song was still in the dark about everything. After Su-Yun solved the video problem, she dialed Zhou Meiyen's number. Are you still at their company? Yes, Zhou Meiyen said. Why? Are you bored by yourself? Of course not. Chairman Song is so polite and arranged so many programs for me. I'm overwhelmed. Su-Yun, how about this? Tell Chairman Song that we'll have dinner together tonight. It's getting late. Are you sure? Zhou Meiyen was a little surprised. Of course. Su-Yun, tell Chairman Song that I want to thank him for his arrangement, so I'll treat him to dinner. Ask him if there's a Chinese restaurant here. Let me know when you've decided on a place. We'll meet there. Zhou Meiyen really couldn't understand what kind of trick Su-Yun was up to this time. But since Su-Yun said so, she did as he said. Okay, I'll call you after I confirm it. All right, I'll make some preparations. Su Yun hung up the phone after saying that. Zhua Meiyan put down the phone and looked up at Chairman Song, who was sitting opposite her, and said, Chairman Song, Chairman Su wants to thank you for your arrangement tonight and wants to treat you to a meal. I don't know if you have time. Yes, of course. Chairman Song agreed without hesitation. Then, he came back to his senses and said, How can I let Chairman Su treat me to a meal at my place? Of course it's my treat, my treat. Let's go to the best hotel in Korea. Chairman Su said that he wants to eat Chinese food. Zhua Meiyan said, no matter how good Korean food is, he can't get used to it. It would be best if it was an authentic Hua Xia Chinese restaurant. Otherwise, the taste would be neither fish nor fowl, and it wouldn't be interesting. No problem. Of course not. I'll get someone to arrange the best Chinese restaurant in Korea. Chairman Song immediately pulled out his phone to make arrangements. Since he had received Su Yun's signal of goodwill, he had to seize this opportunity. They had specifically asked for Chinese food because they wanted Hua Xia to make more money in Korea. Letting the Koreans make more money would not benefit Hua Xia at all. At this moment, Chairman Song's heart had already floated to the highest heavens. The words that Su Yun had asked Zhua Meiyan to convey to Chairman Song were simply too wonderful. Su Yun had thanked him for his arrangement. What did this mean? It meant that Su Yun had accepted it. It also meant that Han Yen-er's work was very good, and Su Yun was very satisfied. Otherwise, Su Yun would not have agreed so readily. When he thought of Su Yun kneeling under Han Yen-er's skirt and being conquered by Han Yen-er's legs, Chairman Song felt very happy. Because once that happened, he would have all the secret videos in his hands. In this way, would Su Yun still dare to not cooperate with him? If it was anyone else, they would not dare to not cooperate with him. Chairman Song had this confidence because he knew all too well how much face a successful man needed. Playing with women was not a big deal for successful and rich men. However, due to their social status, it could cause public opinion, so they definitely could not be exposed. They needed to save face. For example, a migrant worker who went out to work and didn't return home for a whole year might be tempted by others to go to a shampoo on a dark street and spend money to do some immoral things. Even if he was caught and reported, not many people would care. After all, there were many such people in this day and age. Many people even felt that it was not a bad thing to have a place to spend money to do such things. At least this way, they could spend money to solve the problem and not do anything illegal. But what about Huang Haiba? It had been 2 or 3 years, but everyone still remembered it. Was it because he had spent money to find a transgender man? Of course not. It was because he was a person of status. Therefore, Chairman Song knew all too well what men of status were most afraid of. Once they encountered such a situation, they would be destroyed. After Chairman Song arranged the best Chinese restaurant, he immediately asked Zhua Meiyan to inform Su Yun, hoping that Su Yun would be satisfied. Zhua Meiyan told him that as long as it was a Chinese restaurant opened by a real Hua Xia person, he would definitely be satisfied. Chairman Song was very excited. He avoided Zhua Meiyan and called Han Yen-er. At this moment, Han Yen-er was still in a daze. She still did not know how to tell Chairman Song about this. When she received Chairman Song's call, Han Yen-er was in a bad mood. It seemed that she could not delay this any longer. Since she could not delay it, then she might as well face it directly. Who cares what the outcome is? Whatever. She would leave it to fate. Chairman. Han Yen-er picked up the phone, her voice somewhat lacking in confidence. Little girl, you're not bad. Very impressive. I like you so much. Yen-er, as long as this matter is successful, I guarantee that you will be the first to develop your career in Hua Xia. I'll let you make a fortune there. Han Yen-er was at a loss when she heard this. What was going on? I didn't expect Chairman Su to like you so much. Normally, these successful men who have seen countless women are very difficult to please. I didn't expect you to settle it so easily. Chairman Song praised Han Yen-er. Don't worry, I won't treat you badly. Chairman, what's going on? Han Yen was completely confused. Go to Hua Feng Hotel immediately. I've already arranged for someone to locate it. I'll invite Chairman Su and Chairman Zhua to dinner tonight. You have to accompany them. Chairman Song said. Chairman, but Chairman Song glared. What? You don't want to go? Let me tell you, it's your fortune that Chairman Su likes you. Don't be so ungrateful. Han Yen was completely confused. Ah, Chairman Su, he admires me? Of course, Chairman Song said happily. This means that you, little vixen, have good kung fu. How about this? I'll give you a new Vacheron Constantine watch today. After Chairman Song finished speaking, he hung up the phone without giving Han Yen a chance to speak. To Chairman Song, a Vacheron Constantine watch was enough to make any woman agree to what he wanted her to do today, so Han Yen had no reason to refuse. After Chairman Song hung up the phone, Han Yen was completely dumbfounded. She didn't know what to do next. Where did President Song hear about Su Yun's admiration for her? Han Yen was stunned for a full 5 minutes before she came back to her senses. She quickly touched up her makeup and rushed to the Hua Xia-style hotel. As for what would happen next, Han Yen didn't want to think too much about it. She felt that there were some things that she couldn't understand anymore. Han Yen definitely didn't know whether Su Yun admired Han Yen or not, but she really admired Su Yun, so Su Yun was practically her idol. Of course, she couldn't refuse to have a meal with her idol. After Chairman Song's driver returned to the slums and kowtowed to his mother, he saw that it was about time and rushed back to Su Yun's hotel. Along the way, the driver understood that no matter what, family was the most important thing. Money and social status didn't matter. Only family would support you unconditionally. In this society, money and status could change everyone's attitude toward you, but it couldn't change your family's attitude toward you. Therefore, family was the only thing that mattered the most. He decided to move back to the slums and live with his mother. The rent he saved was enough for his mother to eat beef once a week. Chapter 3402. After the driver returned, he immediately reported to Su Yun. Su Yun had already received the address from Zhua Meiyan, but he wasn't in a hurry to go. Instead, he asked the driver, "How was it? How was the conversation with your mother?" "Boss Su, if it wasn't for you, I'm afraid I would have made the biggest mistake of my life." The driver lowered his head and said, "I never thought about how everything I did affected my mother. I always thought that my mother owed me, but that wasn't the case. She didn't owe me anything. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be alive." Su Yun smiled. "I owe her. She was the one who raised me. She was the one who gave me a chance to survive." The driver said, "Back then, she could have just abandoned me. If I was lucky, I would have been taken in by a gangster organization. If I wasn't, I would have starved to death on the streets." "It's good that you know." Su Yun said, "Mothers are all great. Don't always think that she owes you. She gave you this illusion because she selflessly gave you all her love. That's why you think that she's so obedient to you because she owes you." The driver nodded. "Yes, it's because of her greatness that I'm like this. It's good that you understand. Don't be like some people who don't understand their whole life." Su Yun said, "You Koreans have always worshipped Hua Xia's Confucian culture. You even said that the sage Confucius was from Korea. You should know what it means to be filial when a disciple enters the family, and a younger brother when he leaves the family." The driver was stunned. "Boss Su, I didn't learn much. When I was in university, I didn't have the money to pay my tuition fees, so I had to work secretly. That's why I got my education. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been unable to find a job and had to serve in the military. I really don't understand what you're saying. Young disciples have to be filial to their parents when they return home, and respect and love their elder brothers when they go out." Su Yun said, "You should know something even simpler. You have to know when your parents are young. One is to be happy, and the other is to be afraid. The driver nodded. The literal meaning was simple, so of course, he could understand. Even though I'm not sure if your chairman will go bankrupt due to the poor economy in the country, or if you'll lose your job, I believe that as long as you think about your mother, you'll definitely find a way to earn money. Soo-yoon stood up after saying that. Let's go. Send me to Hua Fong Hotel. I reckon that your guild leader has already arrived. The president wants to treat you to a meal. The driver was shocked. This can't be because I'm late, so I made you late. Chairman Soo. I'm sorry. You came back within the time I gave you. What's there to be sorry about? Soo-yoon said, it's not like I was late because of you. Besides, I don't mind making your president's song wait a little longer. But if the president knows that I go home during working hours, he will definitely be angry. The driver was clearly distressed. So you think that it's not worth it to be punished by the leader for explaining to your mother? Soo-yoon asked. The driver shook his head. No, I feel that no matter what happens today, I made the right decision. Then it's fine. Soo-yoon, let's go. As long as I don't say anything, no one will know where you went. Even if someone sees you and sues you, I will protect you. Really? The driver looked at Soo-yoon in disbelief. Yes. Because you still have a conscience. Soo-yoon didn't say anything else and walked in front. While Soo-yoon and the others were preparing to leave the hotel, Soo-mayen had already arrived at the hotel with President Song's other car. Seeing that Soo-yoon hadn't arrived yet, President Song didn't dare to rush him. At this moment, his secretary walked over and whispered to him, President, someone saw your driver go to the slums this afternoon. I checked and found out that his house is in that area. President Song frowned. He actually went home during working hours? He was even late for something important. I think he doesn't want this job anymore. President Song, it's just a small matter. There's no need to get so worked up. Soo-mayen said, maybe something important happened at home. Otherwise, I believe that most people wouldn't go home during working hours. Director Soo, I've always emphasized one thing in the company. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. Therefore, no matter how important something is at home during working hours, my employees are not allowed to deal with personal matters, President Song said. According to the country's laws, I give them sufficient holidays. Therefore, they have to work for me during working hours. Soo-mayen smiled indifferently. This was someone else's company. They could do whatever they wanted. It had nothing to do with her. Only by having clear rewards and punishments and strict rules can the company become better and better, President Song said confidently. Soo-mayen nodded. That's right. However, the company will only become better if there's a bit of human kindness occasionally. President Song, maybe what your driver did was ordered by Director Soo. If you make a big fuss over this, it's equivalent to slapping Director Soo in the face. President Song was stunned. Why did Director Soo ask him to go to such a place? Don't ask me about this, I was just saying it casually. Our Chairman Soo's personality isn't something that ordinary people can understand, so I suggest that you don't act rashly. Soo-mayen threw a smoke grenade. President Song didn't dare to make a rash judgment. At this time, Han Yen arrived at the hotel. After receiving the notice, she immediately dressed up and rushed over. However, she was still a bit late. President, there was a traffic jam. I'm sorry, Han Yen said apologetically. This is Director Soo. President Song didn't mind. In his heart, Han Yen had just made a great contribution. Therefore, it didn't matter if she was late. After all, Soo-yoon hadn't arrived yet. Hello, Director Soo. I'm sorry. Han Yen bowed to Soo-mayen. Traffic jams are normal. There's no need to apologize. Soo-mayen said. Your president informed you at the last minute. You've already done well by arriving in such a timely manner. President Song's expression was very proud. Director Soo, my artists are all like this. Don't worry. Yen is a very hard-working young person. I will do my best to train her and give her more opportunities. Zhuo Meiyan was very confused. What did President Song mean by this? Let's go in first. We don't know when he'll arrive. Zhuo Meiyan didn't want to think about him and changed the topic. President Song nodded and immediately arranged for Han Yen. You stay here and wait for Director Su. I'll go upstairs with Director Zhua. Okay, President. You two go first. I'll take care of Director Su. Han Yen was actually quite guilty. She didn't even know how to face Su Yun or President Song. Because there was a secret recording, the president should know everything that happened. Han Yen's head hurt. If the president knew everything that happened today, why did he still ask her to come? What made the president think that Director Su admired her? Han Yen had no idea what had happened, so she was left with a headache. After about 20 minutes, Su Yun finally arrived in a car. When Su Yun saw Han Yen at the door, he quickly sorted out his thoughts and guessed what President Song was thinking. Han Yen went up to open the car door for Su Yun. Su Yun got out of the car and smiled at her. Your president asked you to come, right? Yes, Director Su. I have no idea what's going on, Han Yen said helplessly. Don't worry, it's fine. Just repeat what I say later. Su Yun said, I believe that at this moment, your President Song will definitely treat you like a treasure. You're his savior. Han Yen shook her head. I don't dare to be a savior. I just hope that bad things don't bother me. Not only will President Song not bother you today, but he will also praise you. Trust me. Su Yun said, don't look so nervous. It's very unnatural. Just be more natural. Treat it as if everything he instructed you to do went smoothly because I can guarantee that your President Song did not see any videos. Han Yen raised her head in shock and looked at Su Yun. Why are you so sure? You don't have to worry about that. If I say I'm sure, then I'm sure. Su Yun revealed a mysterious smile. You can watch the show. Chapter 3403. After Han Yen picked up Su Yun, she brought him to the room that Chairman Song had prepared for him. Chairman Song was in a good mood and was chatting with Zhuo Meiyan. When he saw Su Yun, he hurriedly stood up to welcome him. Chairman Su, you're finally here. Ha ha ha, come and have a seat. Please have a seat. Su Yun just nodded and sat down next to Zhuo Meiyan. Chairman Song gestured for Han Yen to sit as well. After they sat down, Chairman Song explained in embarrassment, Chairman Su, I don't know much about Huaxia culture, and I don't know much about the seating arrangements for Huaxia dinners. Please forgive me for my poor arrangement. So you know about the seating arrangements for Huaxia dinners? Su Yun laughed. I have to tell you that Huaxia dinners are very particular about seating arrangements. Yeah, I heard that you have to pay attention to who is the guest of honor, 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 and who is the guest of honor. Su Yun nodded. You're from Korea, so you don't have to learn these things. Sometimes, the seating arrangements for Huaxia dinners need to be adjusted accordingly. Chairman Song nodded vigorously at the side with a look of enjoyment on his face. Huaxia culture belongs to Huaxia. Even if you learn it, you can only learn it inappropriately and then say it belongs to you. Haha, it's actually quite funny. Su Yun was always slapping people in the face. Chairman Song couldn't figure out what Su Yun was thinking. To ease the awkwardness, Chairman Song hurriedly gestured for his secretary to bring him 2 exquisite boxes. Chairman Song opened one of them. Inside was an Omega Butterfly Series leather female mechanical watch. The poor play with cars, the rich play with watches, and the loser plays with computers. This logic was simple and everyone knew it. Therefore, Chairman Song's gift of such an expensive item was clearly beyond the bounds of etiquette. I have a friend in the watch business, so I specially asked him to pick out a watch for Chairman Zhua. This watch suits Chairman's temperament very well. Chairman Song sighed. Zhuo Meiyan shook her head. Sorry, I already have one, so I don't need it. However, Chairman Song still insisted, Chairman Zhua, no one else is worthy of this aura other than you. Please accept it. Then, Chairman Song gave Han Yen a piece. Yen, this is for you. Take it. Thank you, President. Han Yen, didn't refuse. If she did, she wouldn't be giving face to the president. Plus, there were other people around, so she had to show the president's generosity and gratitude. Let me see. Su Yun didn't stand on ceremony and picked up the watch that Zhua Meiyan didn't want. It looks like it's worth some money. Actually, it's not worth much. It's only a few tens of thousands of RMB, Chairman Song said modestly. Su Yun shook his head and said, Then you've been scammed. This kind of watch isn't that expensive in China. There are many people selling this on WeChat. It costs a few hundred yuan each. I have one in my WeChat friend circle. It's called Ace. It's a WeChat merchant from the flagship store. They sell these big brands. They're very cheap and of good quality. Chairman Song was stunned. You've been cheated because of the brand. Actually, if you think about it carefully, are these things really worth it? Su Yun, it's just a matter of time. And those luxury bags, they don't even have the skin. How can they be shameless enough to sell them at such a price? Some of the Hua Xia replicas are even better than the real deal. Although I don't care about those replicas, I'm also speechless about the real deal. Although Hua Xia is rich, it's still Hua Xia's money. Every year, foreign luxury goods scam hundreds of billions. It makes Hua Xia look like a fool with a lot of money. Faced with this situation, Chairman Song didn't know how to respond. He could only change the topic. Yen, I heard that Chairman Su admires you very much. Han Yen, was embarrassed. She looked at Su Yun and didn't know how to respond. Su Yun's expression was very calm. Yes, I do admire her. But what I admire is the current her, not the past her. Chairman Song was stunned. Han Yen, didn't understand what Su Yun meant. Chairman Song, you're not young anymore. Looking at your age, you're old enough to be Han Yen-er's father, right? Su Yun, as an elder, do you think it's appropriate for you to manipulate a child to do so many disgusting things? Chairman Song's expression instantly turned ugly. Zhua Meiyan also understood why Su Yun wanted to have a meal with Chairman Song today. It seemed that he had encountered something that made him unhappy. Han Yen, immediately became nervous and didn't know what to do. What did you do? Chairman Song glared at Han Yen, Su Yun waved his hand in front of Chairman Song. Here. If you have something to say, you can talk to me. It has nothing to do with a girl. When Chairman Song looked at Su Yun, he avoided looking at him unnaturally. Chairman Su, if she did anything wrong, please don't take it to heart. Of course I don't mind. You made a girl come to my room, strip naked, and force me to sleep with her. She has sacrificed a lot for your company, Su Yun said. When Chairman Song heard this, he was overjoyed. He looked at Han Yen in surprise. You took off your clothes? Of course you took them off. You took them off completely. Su Yun interrupted Han Yen, He couldn't let her tell the truth. If Han Yen, told the truth, then he wouldn't be able to make Chairman Song reveal his true colors. Chairman Song looked very satisfied. Han Yen, didn't know what to do. She knew that Su Yun was lying. But everything was secretly recorded, so there was no point in lying. Zhua Meiyan had been sitting quietly beside Su Yun. She knew that Su Yun must have a plan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said something like this. But Zhua Meiyan still felt a little offended. Whether or not Han Yen really took off her clothes in Su Yun's room, Chairman Song's arrangement was definitely real. Chairman Song, I'm a man. Aren't you making a mistake by doing this? Su Yun said seriously. I'm a decent man. I hate those unspoken rules, but I'm a man. If you let such a beautiful girl like Han Yen stand in front of me, do you think I can control myself? Su Yun's words made Chairman Song even more curious. Then, you. Of course I can't control myself. Su Yun. I've said it before. I'm also a man. I'm a normal man with normal needs. There are some things that men can't refuse. You're also a man, so you should understand this. Chairman Song was overjoyed when he heard this. As long as Su Yun couldn't control himself and something happened, everything would be easy. Chairman Su, I knew that it was hard for you to fly here, so I arranged for Yen-er to serve you. Chairman Song said, I'm just being nice, so please don't take it to heart. It's just a small matter. This isn't a small matter. This is considered an unspoken rule. Su Yun, this is equivalent to me receiving benefits from you, so I have to cooperate with you no matter what you want me to do. Ha 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 ha. Chairman Song was amused just thinking about it. It's a pity, Chairman Song. I'm different from others. Even if I accept your unspoken rule, I won't do anything for you. Su Yun. Just like now. Chairman's doesn't want your watch because he doesn't want to work with you anymore. He doesn't think it's necessary. Once he takes your watch, he'll feel like he owes you. Chairman Song was stunned. Normal people were like that. But I'm different. Even if I take your watch, I won't do anything for you. This is my style. I'm such a person. Su Yun, today, I'll let you get to know me. Su Yun's words were straightforward. Chairman Song's emotions felt like he was on a roller coaster. So, even if you want me to blackmail your artist, I won't work with you. Am I clear enough? Su Yun, what I mean is that I blackmailed your artist for nothing and didn't achieve anything. I still won't agree to your goal. Do you understand? Chairman Song, who had been overjoyed just a moment ago, was now suppressing it like a donkey's liver and lungs. How could Chairman Song accept Su Yun's words being so direct? The other party was openly toying with him. Zhuo Meiyan laughed. She knew that if Su Yun said it so openly, it meant that nothing had happened between him and Han Yen-er. If something had really happened, Su Yun wouldn't be in such a state. Zhuo Meiyan knew Su Yun well. Even if he wanted to protect the girl's pride, he wouldn't say such things. So, if Su Yun dared to say it so openly, it meant that there was nothing between him and the girl. Chapter 3404. Not only could Zhuo Meiyan tell from Su Yun's tone, but she could also tell from the girl's expression that there was nothing between them. There was no shame or panic in Han Yen-er's expression. There was only surprise, confusion, and more than that, confusion. So, Han Yen-er's mind was filled with questions. Why would Su Yun say that? What kind of trick was this? You're saying that even if you did something to Han Yen-er, you won't be willing to continue working with us? Chairman Song seemed to have lost his composure. When a person was certain that they had caught the other party's weakness, they didn't want to speak calmly to the other party. Su Yun nodded. That's right. Why? Didn't you hear me clearly? I heard you clearly. I thought you didn't understand, Chairman Song said. You stole my girl and now you're talking to me with such an attitude? What? Don't tell me you want me to lower my head and apologize to you? Su Yun sneered. President Song, you sure changed your attitude quickly. Chairman Su, this isn't a problem with my attitude. It's your problem. With Su Yun's reminder, Chairman Song's attitude became firm. I remember that there's an old saying in Huaxia, if you take advantage of others, you'll have to give in. Don't you feel that way? I really don't, Su Yun said bluntly. Why? Am I giving in to you now? Chairman Song sneered. What do you think? Don't tell me you're not giving in to me? Aren't you afraid that I'll spread the news of you sleeping with our artist? Chairman Song, you're ruining the future of one of your artists by doing this, Su Yun said. Aren't you afraid that this will affect Han Yen? What do I have to be afraid of? Chairman Song said. If I can solve this problem by sacrificing an artist, I have nothing to worry about. Chairman Su, you might not know this, but our company has many artists. I don't care about sacrificing one or two. Su Yun looked at Han Yen-er to see if she had heard him. Han Yen-er was furious, and she said, I never thought you'd say something like that. You used me and then abandoned me? Yen-er, I remember your contributions to the company very clearly. However, for the sake of greater development and the company's future, I have no choice but to inconvenience you, Chairman Song said with a smile. Your sacrifice has brought back the future of the majority of people. What about my future? Han Yen-er asked. Is my future that worthless in your eyes? I've been working hard for my future. I've always been willing to be controlled by the company. Even if I'm not willing to do what the company wants me to do, I still have to do it. Is my sacrifice so worthless? The more you think you're worthless, the more the company thinks you're worthless, Su Yun said. It's the same in any industry. Han Yen-er was about to cry. Some things have already happened. You have to accept them even if you don't want to. Chairman Song was very cold. At a time like this, he showed a very firm attitude. If I don't agree to your request, what are you going to do? Su Yun asked. Chairman Song shrugged. Very simple. I'll spread the news about you and let all of Korea know. Let all of Hwaseong know. But if you say it without any evidence, who will believe you? Su Yun said. The public needs to at least see a photo, right? Photo? Haha. I don't just have a photo. Chairman Song laughed slyly. I also have video evidence. As long as Su Yun doesn't cooperate, I'll definitely show Su Yun a very exciting action movie. The male lead in the movie will be you. Then I really have to thank you, Su Yun said. You even invested in my movie? Zhua Meiyan couldn't help but frown. Chairman Song, are you secretly filming? Did you secretly install a camera in the room? Chairman Zhua, I have no other choice. After all, I'm at my wit's end, and you guys aren't willing to help us, Chairman Song said. In this situation, what else do you want from me? Don't you Hwaseong people have an idiom called, a cornered dog will jump over the wall? Being cultured is different. Chairman Song really used this idiom in the right place. Su Yun laughed. How about this, Chairman Song, tell me what you want. Chairman Su, it's very simple. I just want to cooperate with you. If we cooperate, nothing will happen between us. I promise I won't use this video to blackmail you, Chairman Song raised his hand and swore. Then you have to agree to one of my conditions. Su Yun, I was screwed over by this little artist of yours. I'm very unhappy. I want your company to terminate her contract. Immediately and unconditionally. Chairman Song was stunned. Chairman Su, what do you mean? Han Yen-er suddenly understood that Su Yun was doing this to save her. If she wanted to terminate her contract, she would have to pay a hefty penalty for breaching the contract. I just don't like her. If you don't terminate her contract, how can I cooperate with you guys? Su Yun. She screwed me over. Chairman Su, don't worry. Even if I don't terminate the contract, I can still restrict her. Chairman Song grinned. As long as Chairman Su is happy and is willing to cooperate with us, you can do whatever you want with her. During the contract, she has to listen to all of my arrangements. I don't want to see her. Do you understand? I don't want to cooperate with any company she's signed with. I have a shadow in my heart. Su Yun said. Chairman Song said awkwardly, if you terminate the contract, we'll have to pay some money. You can't even afford this small amount of money and you still have the nerve to cooperate with my Sky Entertainment Group? Su Yun, how much? 500 million Korean won, Chairman Song said helplessly. Then it's up to you. Do you not care about this small amount of money because you don't want to fight with me for 500 million Korean won, or do you want to cooperate with Sky Entertainment Group? Su Yun said. Chairman Song gritted his teeth. Fine. Chairman Su, since you agreed so readily to cooperate with me as long as I terminate the contract with Han Yen-er, then I won't hesitate. I'll pay her the money. Han Yen-er, I want to terminate the contract with you. I'll get the company to prepare the contract and send it over immediately. I'll get the finance department to transfer the money to you. Once you receive the money, sign it and get out. Han Yen-er was stunned. She didn't expect Su Yun to use such a method to fight for her interests and even help her regain her freedom. She was completely shocked. President Song, you're such a straightforward person. Just based on your straightforwardness alone, I'm sure you won't be able to do anything. Since you're so straightforward, I want to cooperate with you too, Su Yun said. Chairman Song didn't expect to solve his problem with Su Yun just like that. This was too surprising. Although he had spent 500 million Korean won, as long as he could establish a relationship with Hua Xia, Chairman Song would only need half a popular artist to earn it back in half a year. Therefore, he didn't care about this small amount of money at all. As long as Su Yun was happy, Chairman Song was willing to do anything. He definitely wouldn't have any objections. As long as Chairman Su is willing to cooperate with me, I'll definitely be straightforward. I won't drag things out. Chairman Song immediately asked his secretary to arrange this matter. Like I said at the beginning, 1 or 2 artists are nothing to my company. As long as Chairman Su is happy. I'm very happy to hear Chairman Song's words. Su Yun nodded. Chairman Song acted very quickly. The company sent the termination letter to Han Yen-er in half an hour, and the finance department immediately sent the compensation to Han Yen-er. When Han Yen-er received the money in her bank account, she immediately picked up a pen and signed the letter and received a receipt. At this moment, Han Yen-er was completely free. In fact, Su Yun didn't want to help a Korean artist in the beginning. However, he saw too much helplessness in Han Yen-er's eyes, so he made the decision to help her out and use his methods to teach Chairman Song a lesson. Su Yun really hated Korea entertainment for using extreme or even illegal methods to control artists. He felt that this kind of thing was no different from a hoodlum pimping people outside, just a little bit higher. Thinking about how Korean artists were controlled by the company like this, Su Yun felt pity for them. If they couldn't become famous, they would be the company's puppets. Even if they became famous, they would still be the company's puppets. It was really sad. The moment Han Yen-er received the money and terminated her contract with Chairman Song, a relaxed smile appeared on her face. All of this was seen by Su Yun and Zhua Meiyan. Zhua Meiyan raised her eyebrows and looked at Su Yun. What are your plans now? Are you really going to cooperate? Or is it time to shed all pretense of cordiality? Su Yun immediately revealed a sinister smile. You know me well. Of course, we'll shed all pretense of cordiality. Now that he had achieved his goal, Su Yun could no longer be bothered with President Song. Chapter 3405. Chairman Song, I suddenly don't want to work with you anymore. What should I do? The evil smile on Su Yun's face made Chairman Song's hair stand on end. How about this? Why don't you take out the video and expose it? Chairman Su, you're pushing me into a dead end. Chairman Song's eyes flashed coldly. That's right. Su Yun, that's exactly what I mean, because you haven't forced me into a dead end yet. I'm a person who won't give up until I see the coffin. Unless you take out the video in You from the Gorilla, the one that Chum Sung-yi told Professor Do about, the one that costs 100 million won a month, I'll only give up then. After Su Yun finished speaking, he looked at Chairman Song provocatively. Chairman Song was stunned. Are you afraid that it's expensive? 100 million won a month is nothing. It's only 600,000 renminbi. It's nothing in Hua Xia, Su Yun. The most expensive advertisement in Hua Xia costs more than 600,000 renminbi per second. If you really don't have the money, I'll pay for it. You can find someone to broadcast it. Do you not believe that I have a video of you? Chairman Song said. Su Yun, aren't you being a little too confident? If you have it, then take it out. Why are you talking so much nonsense? I've already told you that I'm the kind of person who won't give up until I'm cornered. Su Yun continued to provoke him. Come, Let me see if I'm very valiant. At your age, you'll probably be envious and jealous after seeing it. The more Su-Yun said this, the more certain Zhuo Meiyan was that nothing had happened. She looked at Chairman Song as if she was watching a show. Chairman Song finally couldn't take it anymore and exploded. Fine. Then I'll let you die convinced. The furious Chairman Song immediately called the paparazzi he had arranged, but the phone couldn't get through no matter how hard he tried. Confused, Chairman Song immediately got his chauffeur to bring his secretary to the hotel to look for him, but his men couldn't find him either, let alone the computer or the video. There was no evidence at all. President Song, who had been so busy that he was in a terrible fix, became even more anxious. Sweat dripped down from his forehead. Su-Yun and Zhuo Meiyan were drinking tea as if nothing had happened. Han Yen couldn't sit still. She asked Su-Yun, "Mr. Su, what is going on? Do you think I'll sit still and wait for death when I already know that I've been secretly filmed?" Su-Yun asked. Han Yen lowered her voice and said, "But we didn't do anything. Even if they filmed it, it would be meaningless. That's not the same. What I want is for him to be anxious like he is now. He has completely lost the initiative. That's what I like." Su-Yun said, "I want him to think that he took a picture of something between you and me but can't find it. This will make him the most anxious. If he knows that he didn't take a picture, he won't be in this state." Han Yen finally understood that Su-Yun was trying to kill Chairman Song. "You destroyed everything in the room?" Han Yen looked at Su-Yun in disbelief. She couldn't understand how Su-Yun had done all this. It was too unbelievable. Su-Yun nodded. "He can't even find the people who worked for him. How can he not be anxious?" Chairman Song wasn't in the mood to pay attention to Su-Yun and Han Yen-er's whispered conversation. His mind was filled with the thought of finding the missing person. He had already sent out all the people he could to find the paparazzi. Chairman Song had already cursed the paparazzi 1,000, 10,000 times in his mind. That damned grandson had disappeared at this time. Where the hell did he go? 10 minutes later, Chairman Song finally couldn't take it anymore. He directly called in his secretary, who was also in a terrible fix outside the room. "You still haven't found him. How much time has it been? Can't you handle such a small matter?" Chairman Song flew into a rage the moment he opened his mouth. He didn't give the secretary any face at all. The secretary felt wronged. He also wanted to find the missing person as soon as possible. However, the people he had arranged for had searched the paparazzi's house and the places he frequented, but they still couldn't find him. "Chairman, he's missing," the secretary said carefully. "Missing?" Chairman Song's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. "Are you kidding me? He's a grown man, and you're telling me he's missing? What use do I have for you?" "Chairman, but I really can't find him. I can't find him anywhere. He's really missing." The secretary was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Zhuo Meiyan looked at Su-Yun and whispered, "You didn't cripple him, did you?" "I'm not that ruthless." Su-Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It only means that the kid knows old Song's temper, so he ran faster. "But Chairman Song definitely has a way to catch him," Han Yen said. "So what if he's caught? In any case, he doesn't have what he wants. It's his own bad luck that he was caught. Who asked him to do such a wicked thing?" Su-Yun said, "He deserves it." Chairman Song was still roaring at the side. "If you can't find him, call the police. Call the police and say he's missing." "Chairman, I've already arranged for people to go to the police station, but the police said that he's only missing after 48 hours. "They won't deal with it now," the secretary said. "Besides, he's a grown man, not a child. The police won't deal with it immediately. Who told you to say he just went missing? Are you stupid?" Chairman Song grabbed his hair angrily. "Don't you know how to get someone to tell the police that he's been missing for a week? If it took longer, would the police not take it seriously?" The secretary was dumbfounded. But that's a lie." "So what if it's a lie?" Who would know? Chairman Song wished he could kick his secretary to death. 48 hours. 48 hours is enough time to fly around the earth. He's long gone. Where are we going to find him? The secretary stood in place and lowered his head, not daring to say another word. He was really speechless. Get lost. Chairman Song kicked the secretary in the waist, causing him to kneel on the ground. The secretary could only endure the pain and get up and obediently scram. Seeing Chairman Song in such a sorry state, Su-yun smiled and said, "Chairman Song, how is it? You haven't found the video of me being the main character yet? You've lost a chance to enjoy my valiant and heroic demeanor." Su-yun, don't be so smug. Let me tell you, in Korea, as long as it's someone I want to find, there's no one I can't find. Chairman Song had completely fallen out with Su-yun. Su-yun nodded. That's a must. I believe that President Song has the ability to do so, so take your time. I'm not in a hurry. Whenever you find it, let me know. I'll accompany you to admire it. Han Yen stood up and said to Su-yun, "Forget it. I'd better tell Chairman the truth." "Of course. Just tell me what you think is appropriate." Su-yun nodded. He didn't care. "Chairman, actually, nothing happened between Chairman Su and CEO Su, so even if the camera you installed recorded something, there's nothing meaningful," Han Yen said. "Chairman Su taught me a very profound lesson. I won't be manipulated by you in the future. I want to pursue my own life." "What did you say?" Chairman Song stared. "You actually teamed up with Su-yun. Do you know what you were doing just now? That's fraud. Give me back my 500 million. Su-yun, it's all signed in black and white. You broke the contract and wanted to forcefully terminate it, so you have to pay the penalty. You gave it willingly. What fraud? If you don't want to, then go to court. It doesn't matter if you go to court. You guys." President Song nearly vomited blood. He was about to be angered to death by them. Han Yen was actually still a little afraid, but she was determined to break free from their control. If Chairman Song really wanted to force her, she would go directly to Huaxia and stay there permanently. Even if she started a new artist and became a newcomer, she believed that with her hard work, she would definitely be able to make a living in Huaxia. As long as she became a permanent resident of Huaxia, as long as she had her own development in Huaxia, she would be qualified to apply for Huaxia citizenship. This way, she would be able to completely break free from Chairman Song's threat. There was always a way out. This was Han Yen-er's worst-case scenario. She had finally found the greatest use of her learning Chinese. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.